Good afternoon and welcome here to ConchoValleyHomepage.com as we bring you live coverage of the final round of the Texas Duel here at Bentwood Country Club. I'm Cody Adams. This is brought to you by Dreamscapes and AV Systems, and we are picking things up here at the 18th hole where we will be all day today as we finish up this last round of 18. All of these 58 teams in 6 different divisions taking part in today's festivities, and we were out here yesterday to see the first round. We're picking things up with the 6th flight. That's the team of Curry and Richardson and Carney and Ogle. And as we left it yesterday, they were tied. And coming into the 18th hole, the way I understand it, they are still tied up at 9 over. So a fun final round for the 6th flight. It's a winner-take-all. These teams decided not to move up into a different flight in the qualifier last weekend because they wanted to just battle it out and do a winner-takes-all. So that's how this one's going to play as we pick things up here today. We want to thank you for joining us. As I said, I'm Cody Adams, and we'll be out here all day today taking a look at things and letting you know how the scores wrap up and how things go out here on the 18th hole at the Bentwood Country Club. In a little bit, I'll be joined by Kevin Collins, as well as Bryce Zach will swing by, and I'm sure we'll talk to other people as well throughout the rest of today as folks finish up their holes and finish up their round of golf. It is a scramble format, so it's teams of 2 battling it out in different divisions and format. So your partner gets to swing, and if you like their ball, you can play it. You get to swing. If you like your ball, you play that one instead. So it's kind of a fun format in that way. It's really interesting to see how the teams decide to play those things out and decide to maybe strategize a little bit on what they're going to do and where they're going to play from. As we take a look over here, just on the outside of the cart path, both teams seem to be set up just in that area as well. So it's going to be some fun action. And these guys have been playing together all day today. They played together all day yesterday. So they've seen each other. They know what they're capable of and what they're doing, and just kind of know how to play things out a little bit. As you take a look right there, that is Carney and Ogle. The team right now, they are 9 over as Ogle takes his first swing at things. And that's a difficult spot, too, because you have the trees right there in front of you, so you have to figure out how you're going to play it. And he puts one just down into the sand bunker. It rolls right up there against that rake. So not probably where he wants it, but his partner, Carney, will get a look at things as well, and he'll get a shot to maybe put them in a better position. Remember, this is a winner-take-all, and things are tied up right now at 9 over, so this is a big play right here for this team. And that one's going to fall short of the other sand bunker. So they'll have an interesting discussion here on which one they want to play, whether they want to play out of the sand and maybe get up onto the green, or play out of the rough and try and get up onto the green that way. The team of Curry and Richardson now will get their swing at things as they try and get up onto a position to maybe gain a stroke here. If they finish in a tie, they will go back to the first hole and play a tiebreaker on that hole. So, unfortunately, we won't be able to bring you that, but we'll let you know the score if that is a situation that does happen. Right there, that is Curry. And he's just, looking at it, figuring out how he wants to play. We do have a light breeze coming straight at them, and it was very breezy yesterday. And when we get these 2 teams up here, we'll take a look at the green. They have moved the pin from where it was yesterday, and we'll take a look at that in just a little bit as as Curry takes his swing at things. And he's over in the sand as well. So good news is Richardson will get a swing at things and maybe try and get them in a little bit better. Again, both these teams in the 6th flight, the only teams in the 6th flight, so they're playing head-to-head on this as Richardson swings his club, and he's not real happy with that one either. It's going to fall short. It won't be in the sand, but it is in the rough, so these two teams have a little bit of discussing to do whether or not they want to play out of the sand or try and play in the grass. It just depends on what they think they're good at. It is hard to hit out of the sand, obviously, but some guys like that. As you look there, that is Ogle and Carney coming across your screen, and you can see the pin placement has moved back. Yesterday it was really kind of right in the middle of the green, and today it's moved back to the kind of middle of the back side of the green. So it changes things just a little bit. It helps a little bit in the sense that you don't have to go quite up that slope like we had yesterday, but you are a little bit on the back side of the green and off that ridge a little bit, so it can make things a little bit more difficult just as far as how you're going to play on the green. And it does look like Carney and Ogle are going to decide to stay out of the sand, and they're going to play it from the ball right there off of the green, just maybe 5 yards or so off of the green. There's a lot of real estate to work with, and that's probably what they looked at and decided on, with the front side of that green being so much larger today. And they're going to take their time on this hole as well because, as we mentioned, it is a winner-take-all. So they want to do as well as they can because they want to take home some money today. Curry and Richardson will take their first swing at things. And they're going to play out of that rough as well. They're going to decide to stay away from the sand. I don't have a choice when I play because I'm always in the sand. So that's where we play from. Richardson will take the first swing for his squad. And a nice little chip there for him as he lays it right there just at the top of that kind of flat portion of the green. His partner will try and push things just a little bit closer for him if he can. And he does. Gets it just a little bit closer for them to make that maybe an easier par putt for that team. Again, right now, things are tied up here for this sixth fly, and they're both 9 over. So a big play here for Carney and Ogle, as they need to put themselves in a position for a makeable par putt as well. And it just bounces right off of that fringe, almost really to the same spot as Richardson and Curry there. Carney now will take his swing at things and try and put his team in a little bit closer of a spot. And a nice pitch there by Carney to put his team even closer to the hole. So it's going to come down to a putt here for these two teams. They're tied up again, as we said, in the sixth flight, going head-to-head, the only two teams in this flight. And it's a winner-take-all situation. Both teams at 9 over right now. And we had an idea yesterday when these guys wrapped up that this might be the situation today, and we were looking forward to that because who doesn't love a down-to-the-minute, down-to-the-wire sort of situation? And Curry will just miss that putt to the side of the pin there. So his partner, Richardson, will get a look at it and try and correct what happened there to try and save par on this. And just misses it to the other side. Can't get that one to fall, so now they have to rely and hope that the team of Carney and Ogle misses this putt. And he does, just moves it to the side there. They'll get another chance at things here as it is a best ball situation, so each player gets an opportunity to try and make the putt. And Carney just misses. So they'll make that putt, and they will both be all tied up after 18 at 10 over. You can see the replay there, just misses the putt. That would have handled it for them, but they want to play a little more golf. As we pick things up now with our first flight, the first grouping of our first flight here, that's going to be the team of Brooks and Torres. They are at 5 under right now. And the team of Stovall and Henderson at 4 under. So they improved on their day. Yesterday, they finished up, the team of Stovall and Henderson finished up at 1 under. Brooks and Torres finished up yesterday at 6 under. And right there you can see the team of Stovall and Henderson as Tom Stovall is going to take his first swing at things. And he'll put it nicely on the green for his team to give them a chance at a birdie putt. Henderson now will take his swing at things for his team. And sends that one flying. That's going to go way off there to the tree, almost to the road. So it looks like they'll probably play Stovall's ball there and still have a chance for a birdie. You can do that a little bit in team ball like this. One guy can really try and crush it and really go for it because your partner already played a safe ball. So now Brooks and Torres. That's Torres right there, trying to put his team in a position strongly. And he'll come up off the back side of the green there into the fringe portion. Certainly easier than it would have been yesterday because of the movement of that pin being moved back a few feet. Makes it a little bit easier of a play from that fringe on the back side. Certainly makes it closer at least. Now Brooks will take his swing at things and gets up under that one as he watches it. And it'll land on the green, but it's right on that slope, so it's going to fall on back down and probably rest right there against the fringe. So they'll have an opportunity for a long birdie, but still on the green for the final hole of the final round of the Texas Duel Championship. Again, we got 58 teams playing today, trying to take home some money in 6 different divisions. We just saw the 6th flight wrap up 18 holes, but they were tied at the end, so they're going to go play another hole on hole 1 to try and figure out who's going to take that winner-take-all. We're starting our first flight division now, the coverage of that flight. It's Tom Stovall and Will Henderson take a walk across the green right now and figure out how they're going to play this. As it stands right now, Stovall and Henderson are 4 under. And you can see right there the team of Carney and Ogle celebrating. Brooks and Torres, they'll be the first to take the swing at things, being further back there on the green from the hole. As I was mentioning, the leaders right now in the first flight, as of yesterday, it was a tie of Cunningham and Clinton, and Medfern and Skillern. They were at 11 under, both of those teams. They're paired up today, so we'll see when they get here on 18 if those scores are still similar. And, of course, we don't know a lot of the scores at this point. We're waiting for them to trickle in as they come to the 18th hole and see where things stand. And it looks like, actually, the team of Brooks and Torres, they're going to play their ball from the fringe, being a little bit closer to the green. They don't have to go up that slope like you would have had to if they played the other way. And he sinks it. What a shot. And that will be absolutely perfect for that squad as they gain a stroke to move back to 7 under on the day for Brooks and Torres. Beautiful shot. It's always nice when your partner goes ahead and takes care of it and you don't have to do anything. And you can see it right there, just banging right up against the pin and falling in. What a beautiful shot. Henderson will take his swing at things now and just miss that one for the birdie opportunity. Tom Stovall now will go see if he can fix things there for his team. They're sitting at 1 under right now overall. Tom's going to take a look at things and see how he wants to play it after watching his partner play things a second ago. Oh, and Tom will just miss it right off the lip. So they'll go ahead and tap that in for a par here as they wrap up their championship round of the Texas Duel. So they'll finish their day at 1 under. The team of Torres and Brooks will finish their day at 7 under. And of course there is still the rest of the first flight to play, so we'll have to see how scores trickle in and where things stand at this point. A nice day so far. Of course, the temperature's expected to rise as the day continues, and remember, pairings are a little bit different today from what they were yesterday. They tried to put, some of the leaders together and things of that nature. So it should be shaping up for a really fun day of golf here at the Texas Duel at Bentwood Country Club. You're watching it on ConchoValleyHomepage.com, brought to you by Dreamscape Systems. I'm Cody Adams, and I'll be here all day long with you as we wrap up our coverage. We've been here out for all the qualifiers. We were here yesterday for the first round of play. As you look right there, the next flight teeing off, the next team in this flight, rather. That's Dormus and Mackey, along with Harris and Hewitt. Right now, Dormus and Mackey sitting at 7 under, Harris and Hewitt sitting at 6 under. You just saw Brooks and Torres finish at 7 under for their 2 days of action. And just as a reminder, the top 3 teams will take home money in each flight. It is a best ball format, scramble. 2 teams playing in each grouping here. We've got 29 groupings, so 58 teams total playing, trying to win some money here. And it looks like you can see just barely there in the fairway, 1 ball at least. Two balls there in the fairway, so not a bad start to the hole for these 2 teams. We do have a light breeze, nothing real major, so I don't think it will be affecting these players too much as they try and win some money today. Right there on the fairway, you can see that is Dormus and Mackey figuring out how they're going to play their ball here. And I'm sure they have to be pretty happy with that shot out in the fairway. We saw some people struggle yesterday with that just because of the sand bunker that's kind of staring you in the face. Also the cameras. We've got 3 cameras here from our production crew giving you different angles of this 18th hole at Bentwood Country Club, so you get to see all of the coverage and see it the way we're seeing it right up here. Mackey will take the first swing at things for his team. And that'll land just off into the second portion of that fringe, kind of on the hill there, off the green. So not a super easy play. He'll hope that his partner Dormus can put them in a better position here for a potential birdie putt. And he'll get nice lift under that one as he kind of leans to the side watching it, and it'll fall off to the other side of the green, kind of across the way from where his partner Mackey played it, just outside of that sand bunker here. So kind of a little bit of discussing going on, I'm sure, between those guys, figuring out how they're going to play things. They're shooting 9 under today to give them an overall score at this point of, I believe, 7 under. As we take a look there at the team of Harris and Hewitt, as Harris will take watch his partner rather swing things. There's a nice little stop there on the green. Now Harris will take his shot at things. Gets under that one, and he'll watch it for a second. And a nice shot there by Harris to put that one right next to the pin. That'll give them a very nice chance at a birdie. That's kind of one of those you're thinking your partner, and then you go ahead and do just a little bit better. Again, they're right now at this point in play at 6 under, the team of Harrison Hewitt here in the first flight. Our leaders still in the first flight as it stands, Clinton and Cunningham, Ledford and Skiller, and both of those teams are at 11 under at this point in competition. So barring something crazy happening, these guys playing for still an opportunity to take home some money. We've got some big groups bunched up here at 9 under. And these guys stuck here at 7 under, so an important play for them. You can see there on that replay, just lays it right there, sticks it perfectly next to the pin for an opportunity for his team to get a fairly easy birdie putt. And you could tell when after he was swinging his club, he was very happy with how that one was going to land. So from the looks of things, it looks like they're going to play Dormis's ball on this side here. As you can see, Mr. Dormis in his brightly colored green shirt. His team will take the first crack at things, trying to figure out how they're going to play it and see where he thinks it might break or how much speed to put under it. They're going to chip there. It gets a nice little sticking point on it. So at the very least, he'll put him in a good position for a par putt. As his teammate Mackey now will get a look at things and try and put it in the hole. And just misses the hole, scooting by there, but they'll get an opportunity, a chance at par here. They're probably going to go ahead and mark things up and take a chance here now as Harris and Hewitt discuss what they're going to do. We're going to go ahead and take a chance to just tap it in for the par here. Again, that's Dormis and Mackey at this point sitting at 7 under on their day. Step away and take a look at it again. These guys are trying to win some money, so they're going to be taking their time, making sure that they're finishing out their 18 as well as they can. And he'll make that for a par there on the 18th hole. So they'll finish their championship round of golf at 7 under on the course of 2 days. Now the team of Harris and Hewitt trying to get that birdie putt to move to a tie. And he will sink that putt. That'll move them to a tie with Dormis and Mackey at 7 under as well. So a good day of golf for those two teams, a good weekend of golf for those guys. As we will go ahead and take a quick break. You're watching the Texas Duel here on ConchoValleyHomepage.com, brought to you by Dreamscapes and AV Systems. We'll be right back.
That's how we're born and how we're raised. The Concho Valley is our place. It's cheering for the blue and the gold. Local is your neighbors, local is your friends, local is a place you've always been. Then I love the way KSAN's local every day.
Welcome to Dreamscapes, the Concho Valley's premier outdoor living design center. Choose from a variety of custom outdoor fire pits, pergolas, and other outdoor accessories to help complement your outdoor style. We sit down with you to help design your dream outdoor living space. We offer a wide variety of grills to choose from, including pellet grills, gas, charcoal, and ceramic, along with all the extra amenities to complement that new grill. Visit us today so we can get started on bringing your outdoor living space to reality. Right here at Dreamscapes, located at 3602 South Chad.
Remain informed on breaking news with the updated Concho Valley Homepage app. Now containing severe weather alerts, push notifications, extended weather forecasts, and more. Download the Concho Valley Homepage mobile app today. Available on iPhone, iPad, and Android.
Football, a game not so easily tackled in 5 minutes. Join sports director Jason Brich and Rachel Turnock as they go inside the game.
A close-up look at your area local high school football games.
For 30 minutes every Friday.
That's a lot of football.
Yes, it is.
You can hear me?
The whole time.
Okay. Inside the game. Fridays at 10:35 p.m. on KSAN, San Angelo's
football channel.
Sponsored by Mitchell Auto Group. Stop stepping on my lines.
You want some of this, man? Man, I knew I shouldn't have gotten the extra large.
The Locker Room is back on Concho Valley Homepage with high school football scores, highlights, and top stories available right from your computer. Right at your fingertips. The Locker Room. The Locker Room. Only on ConchoValleyHomepage.com. Check it out today.
And welcome back here to coverage of the Texas Duel at the Bentwood Country Club here on ConchoValleyHomepage.com. I'm no longer flying solo. Yeah. I have the best in the business here with me, Kevin Collins.
The best. The best. Clearly, you had a few adult beverages in between the break there. Just forgot where we were there for a minute. But, no, great to be here, man. This is a great event, and we're super excited that they hold it here at Bentwood Country Club, and we've got some great players, and hopefully we'll see some great shots coming here on the 18th hole here at Bentwood Country Club.
How much fun is it for you guys to have this sort of an event out here going on?
Well, let me tell you what's great about this event specifically is it was the brainchild of one of our members. Kind of came up with this concept, an opportunity to play for real, let these guys go out and kind of duke it out for big bucks and make it in a fun type format, which I think was something that was missing from some of the golf opportunities. It just sometimes it's either just real funsy or it's real serious. This gives you some fun atmosphere playing a scramble format, but it also gives you the opportunity to go for some big bucks. So Jay West, shout out to him for putting this together and putting this whole situation together. So
the thing that's been really fun too over our coverage here on ConchoValleyHomepage.com is watching the guys kind of finish up, and they play with each other quite often anyway, so a lot of them know each other, and a little bit of that chirping back and forth at times, giving each other a little bit of razzing has been a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely, and I think that's a testament to this type of format. When you're playing a low ball format, it's really hard to get out of trouble, and you're really having to rely a lot in a different way on your partner. And what's groovy about this is these guys, they're getting to take some big shots. This tee shot we see here coming in, we've got the teams of Briley, Wellhausen, Callahan, and Dobie coming in. I mean, there's one guy that's just going for it, and then one guy trying to keep it safe. So it creates a different type of competitive atmosphere, but it's also a funner atmosphere, in my opinion.
Right now, just to give you guys an update, as he said, this is the team of Briley, Wellhausen, and Callahan, Dobie. And if we're looking at the scores here, Callahan and Dobie are sitting right now at 7 under for a total score, and Briley and Wellhausen are at 9 under for a total score. And we've got a little bit of a bunching right there with a few teams kind of tied for that 7th spot at 9 under, so they obviously want to finish up this hole as well and take home a little bit of money today if possible.
That's for sure. I mean, Callahan and Dobie know this course well. John grew up here. Was a Bentwood member. His parents are members here, and great kid all the way around. Actually used to manage our tennis shop, so he's got some inside info coming in. So always been a good golfer. So hopefully they could make up those 2 strokes. We'll just kind of have to see.
We want to thank Dreamscapes and AV Systems for helping make this possible and giving us the opportunity to bring you the best coverage we can out here on ConchoValleyHomepage.com at Bentwood Country Club. We're sitting back here on the 18th hole, so if you're sitting at home and watching and you go, hey, it's kind of a nice day out, we'd like to go watch some golf, come on out, hang around, say hi. We'll be here.
Yeah, for sure. We've got the kind of a view here of probably pretty much the perfect drive for this hole. And just a couple of quick things. This hole is really interesting in design, and that is that the tee boxes tend to push you a little bit to the right. So more of your guys that know the course a little better will always know to square around a little bit and play down to the left here, which is what these guys have done, because it tends to kind of push you off to the right. And our camera angle doesn't show the other team right now, but if you look, if we did, those guys are over on the right-hand side, kind of close to the fence over there, and that's kind of what the average person ends up doing, is getting close to that right side, because the tee box actually points you that direction. And so it's always interesting to see, even though the 18th hole is just a par 4, it's one of the harder holes to score on, and it's deceptively difficult, and that makes it a good one for us to use as our final hole.
Do you find teams or players like to play, push them that way? I mean,
that's another thing. It looks like when you're looking at it on camera on the TV, it looks like there's just trees everywhere, but quite frankly, it's a little bit of an optical illusion. There's about 2 or 3 spots over there that are what we would call jail. But other than that, if you're a decent golfer and you can turn your shoulders and get that ball up pretty quick, it really doesn't affect it overall. I think the more dangerous thing about being on the right is how there's some undulation over there that causes a bad stance opportunity.
As we take a look here at the team of Briley and Wellhausen, figuring out kind of how they're going to play it, and that's Kevin was talking about just a second ago, with this best ball format, it makes things kind of more strategic, which is a lot of fun too, because somebody might say, well, I'm going to play up a little bit and try and play a little bit softer, and somebody else might go, yeah, I'm going to play straight for the hole.
Right, for sure. And I mean, you know, and it's kind of interesting too, because these teams will be kind of ritualistic. They'll always have one guy that's hitting first and one guy that's hitting second. The guy that's generally a little more of a risk taker is the first guy, and the guy that tends to, you know, be more a little defensive or smart, if you will, you know, will tend to be your second guy.
Briley will take the first swing at things for his squad.
Nice smooth stroke there, good camera angle there, good balance through that. Sits it in there nice and tight, nice and smooth. That putt right there is going to be a little bit from right to left, but he's on the dance floor, so you've always got an opportunity.
And already today, because of the change of that pin placement, we've seen some guys, you know, maybe forget that it's moved a little bit on them, and they've played to that spot where they would have liked to have played yesterday.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's a little deceptive. That's another thing, is you can see our Texas flags kind of, you know, flowing from the south, the wind coming from the south. This hole plays kind of like a tunnel, and generally if you get it up above the trees, the wind can become kind of a factor for these guys.
Wellhausen will put it just off of the fringe there, just off the green, so you would assume they're probably going to play Briley's ball there. But
yeah, for sure. You know, and I mean, that looks like there's a little movement there, but it's not a terrible position to be in. The bad news for that is if you go past the hole too far, you're liable to come off the edge a little bit. So it'll be a tuster, but it is a makeable putt.
Right now, again, reminder, they're sitting at 9 under on the day, so they'd certainly like to get a birdie putt if possible. As you take a look at that shot there by Doby, he puts it right kind of off of the green into the fringe as well.
And I think that's the thing, is that it just gets a little more difficult to be super accurate when you don't have a great stance. I mean, if you've got good balance, you can usually kind of count on things, but you can see that they're having a tidbit of a issue with the footing there in the drainage area behind that house. So we'll just see. John Callahan coming in. Looks down at the ground after he hits it. As you can see, comes up well short, and that's, again, that's the dangerous part about it. And you're exactly right, Cody. I mean, they weren't even thinking about the trees there because they knew they could get them over the trees, but the stance and their inability to get balance kind of caused that ball to be a little fat.
And as you were mentioning, standing where they're standing, you're not quite up on a hill, but it's certainly not a flat surface to be standing on either. So
right. And since you can't really improve the lie of the ball in the rough area, and even though this is a scramble where they get the opportunity to drop the ball probably next to their partner, you're just not set up for your ball, you know, as you would if you're in the short grass in the fairway.
Do you find people say to you, because one of the things I've noticed being out here watching that, and I'm not nearly as good a golfer as these guys, obviously, but when you're standing out there, you're looking up at the green and you're sitting between two sand bunkers, essentially. That would be intimidating for me. You don't have a lot of room for error.
Absolutely, and a lot of times, and this pin placement would be one that, you know, if you hit your first shot correctly, you've still got a fairly significant bunker situation to get in a position to score. Now, you know, where these guys, if they were going for pars, I mean, they're in really good shape. But when you're playing this type of format, birdies are the winners, you know. And I was visiting with one of the players last night during the evening kind of after party at the bar, and they had 6 birdie opportunities that they didn't make any of.
Wow.
Whereas in a low ball situation, you might only, at this level, you're going to get a couple. These guys are getting shots at it. It's just a matter of making them. Looks like Doby's going to be the first guy here. Looks like about a 7-iron. Probably going to just kind of punch and let it run. Hopefully it'll release down to the hole. It's a safe shot. He's going to have a pretty good straight putt. A little bit maybe left to right there, but definitely makeable.
That would allow them to be put in a position for a easier par shot rather than, you know, maybe trying to play a little bit tougher at that one. But as we've mentioned, in that best ball format, his partner will get a chance to kind of put them a little bit closer and, in their eyes, hopefully put it in the hole as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got two different trains of thought with this shot. Looks like Callahan up a little bit more and go at it, and he did. That's a really, really good golf shot right there. That's perfect. And, you know, that's one of the things when you get an amateur playing golf. If you noticed his backswing there, he was pretty aggressive. And an amateur has a hard time being aggressive that close to the hole because one thing you don't want to do is chunk it over. But great shot by John Callahan there.
Yeah, I do a lot of that back and forth golf where you just play around the hole and never actually get into it.
Well, we play tennis player golf, so anything within 3 feet's in the hole.
And they will go ahead and put that one in for a...
It's a par right there for those guys. Not looking like they're giving high fives to each other, so it may have been a little more of a tough day for them today.
Callahan and Dobie again sitting at 7 under on the day and overall to put them in 11th place in this first flight. As Briley and Wellhausen will take a look at things.
You know, and it's interesting, these teams can be so ritualistic. I mean, you can see how they're looking at every angle, and that's a really smart move. A lot of amateur golfers will just stand over the ball and look at the hole. Well, quite frankly, the best thing you can do is survey the entire area because there's all kinds of undulations in that green, and more importantly, what people tend to do a lot of times is not realize the danger of going past the hole. So getting a good look from below the hole not only gives you a good read, but it also helps you recognize the potential dangers involved of going past. And that's what these guys' problem is. They are aggressive enough to put it in the hole. If they miss, it's probably going to be a tough putt coming back.
And as a reminder, they're at 9 under right now, so they'd like to take home a little cash, too, if they can.
Absolutely. Nice traditional kind of grip there with his putter.
Briley will take the first swing at things for his team.
Nice smooth putt. It needs to hold the line. Needs to hold. Hit it well. Hit it well. Just one more turn possibly. That's another great thing about playing scramble golf is there's a term we use in golf. It's like it's going to school. I mean, you can see how, you know, Wellhausen was watching Briley, and he's watching that ball, and he's going to school on it because he's going to learn as much as he can from his partner's putt as possible. And so he should have, you know, it looks like they might have needed to go out a ball a little bit more out and maybe a little firmer, but they know they're in the hole with a par, so there's no reason to be short. It's a nice roll. Nice roll. Didn't take the break.
Just goes to the other side of it there, but as Kevin said, they will be able to put that in for a pretty easy par to finish their day at 9 under. That puts them in a tie at this point for 7th place here in the first flight. Lots of teams bunched up right there at 9 under.
We got A.J. Pursley and Danny Simmons and Mark Vega coming up. Danny and Mark are, I really don't think Danny and Mark have homes, honestly. Pretty much Danny spends 90% of his time at Bentwood, and Mark is a tennis player and a golfer. I mean, these guys are great members. We love these guys, and they should know this course.
Living the life.
That's right, man. Danny's real interesting. Great replay of that putt there, showing how much we almost put it in. But that's Danny right there with his second shot. Retired sheriff. Unbelievable golf shot right there. Probably 3-footer for birdie. Great golf shot.
And that just stuck right into the green as well. I mean,
absolutely hit it perfect. And I mean, you know, there's a couple of things about that. Your partner's like, okay, better go for the hole. But even worse, your opponents are like, oh gosh, how am I going to cover that up? That's a tough shot right there. Mark's not happy.
The good news is it doesn't really matter because you're already there in a shot for a birdie.
Right,
so
right. He's partner golf right there. We got Pursley and Pursley coming up.
Not happy with the way he got a hold of that one.
You know, and they're kind of in that first cut of the rough, which in reality is not awful, but it does, every once in a while that taller grass will catch your club, and that kind of looked like that happened. Maybe he kind of drug that club through the tall grass. A.J. Pursley coming here.
The team of Pursley and Pursley right now sitting at 9 under in a four-way tie for 7th with Simmons and Vega.
I would venture to guess this was a good match all the way around today. Oh, unbelievable, unbelievable shot right there. So that's what that's the way it should be right there, Cody. That's, if you could do that every time, you might as well just play golf. Maybe that's why Danny and Mark are here all the time. They make
right.
shots.
And that's one of the things we talk about with golf quite often is, we don't know what their other 17 holes look like, although they've done fairly well today. But all it takes is one shot like that, and you go, I might come back tomorrow and play.
Absolutely. I mean, they're perfectly placed. These guys should have smiles on their faces as they come in.
We do have a little bit of a breeze today.
Yeah, and it's coming from the south, which is pretty typical, and so generally it's kind of smart, especially if you're going to be in the fairway, to maybe club down one club to give you a little added extra to deal with that wind, because as I said earlier, you can see how the trees line the fairway. It's almost like a little tunnel, and once we get above that, it's a great replay there of that shot. A.J. Pursley showing you how it's done. Nice smooth stroke, left hand coming through. Balance after the shot. He doesn't need lessons.
So both of these teams will have a chance now for a birdie here on the 18th hole. That would help them move their score certainly somewhere they'd be pretty happy with at 10 under if they could sink these.
And definitely you can see off on the corner of our screen, Mark Vega and Mr. Pursley are just, chatting it up. You can tell these guys have had a good round. They've probably pushed each other, and hopefully it's created a good opportunity for them.
And as soon as these two teams wrap up here on the 18th, we'll give you a quick rundown of where the scores stand for this first flight after 2 days of action.
Danny Simmons going to try to finish the hole. This putt's pretty straight. Pretty straight. Nice job, Mr. Simmons.
So that'll give them a birdie on that hole to push their score to 10 under on the day. And over 2 days, rather.
There's nothing better than finishing number 18 with just 2 tap-in birdies. I mean, that makes the beer taste a little better. It makes the opportunity for cash. And speaking of cash, our first flight payback, and that's why, when Jay West kind of envisioned this program and this type of format, is that this is play for real. I'm playing for real cash. And, I mean, that's one of the things that, in golf tournaments, a lot of times you're playing for, shop credit or things like that, or trophies. Well, these guys, I mean, they're pretty much playing for the cash, which I think is something that, gets them involved even more. But our first flight payback is $3,155 for the team who wins first. Second place will win $790, and that's, not even necessarily with their Calcutta money and things like that.
Right.
So, we've got in every flight a minimum of $2,000 for the first place team. So it's worth your while to come out and try to make the cash. Jay's got a great system of, there's an opportunity to qualify for this event 3 or 4 times, and he told me today, even though he wouldn't let me divulge any of his secrets at this point, but he's looking at making it bigger and better and more opportunity, which means just more money for the guys. But wants everybody to stay tuned to their Facebook page and their Texas Duel website for all the things coming up for the next year. This is the final tournament of the Texas Duel for the year 2018, so stand by and check out their Facebook to see what's coming up for 2019.
And it's been a lot of fun over the qualifiers and certainly over the last 2 days to watch these guys that, quite frankly, some of them have played before in this tournament, and maybe look forward to it this year, trying to beat out their buddies to win that money. So it's fun, I'm sure, for you guys as well to see them come through the clubhouse and talk about it.
Absolutely. I mean, my beer sales are awesome, these guys. I mean, but in all seriousness, I think what's great about it is that, you know, it gives people an opportunity to plan if they want to try to qualify. It doesn't mean, you know, if you miss one opportunity, you're out of the option. I think Jay's got that part figured out, because in our busy world right now, I mean, it's tough for these guys, you know, and so having that sort of environment is good. But I mean, Bentwood is so proud to be a part of this, and Jay's, you know, committed to us because of him not only being a member, but just a good guy from San Angelo. He knows how to promote things. Worked with him for years in rodeo and things like that. It's just a groovy concept, and we're happy to be a part of it. I will tell you, these guys are, I guess, searching for a ball over there, but I mean, that's something that needs to be said as well. I mean, you guys from KLST KSAN, I mean, y'all have been out here working it for, you know, 5 or 6 different weekends. And you know what, the camera guys are, you know. And what's great about it is every time you walk up to you guys, everybody's got a smile on their face. They're having a good time. And other than Tom Stovall.
Yeah, well, Tom's always like that.
You know, Tom was a little grumpy today because he didn't play so well. He said he did attend the event and he was in here in body, but unfortunately, I guess he didn't have his best day. But we do appreciate you guys, because let's face it, man, we're a small town. This is a groovy to be able to pull something off like this. And you know, I think the town appreciates it too. So.
Let's be quite honest too. It's a lot better than being stuck in the office all day. Come out and watch a little golf and have a little bit of fun. Let's run through those scores real quick as we kind of wait things out here. Harris and Hewitt right now lead in this first flight at 17 under for total score. Dormis and Mackey right behind them in second at 16 under, and then Briley and Wellhausen sitting at 15 under. Callahan and Doby at 14 under in fourth place, and Brooks and Torres at 12 under in fifth place. So those guys have all wrapped up their play for the day.
We've got a couple of really, really good quality teams coming up. Rogers and Poss and Scott. I mean, Dwayne Poss and Mickey Scott, longtime, big-time golfers here in Angelo. Really quality players. Looked like they were at -9 when they started, and where were they at this point?
At this point, right now, they're still at -9 for a total right now.
These guys have got some real experience playing and know this course. I think we got a great camera shot there of that ball coming over the green. I think that's a perfect example of maybe, you know, knowing there's a little there and kind of muscling it a little bit. And so looks to me like Rogers, neither one are on the green on their second shot, so I guess it's time to scramble a tidbit.
And you can see that sometimes with the wind, the way it'll affect you. You know, maybe you think you need to put more on it, and you don't necessarily. It can be a little bit of an optical illusion on you, or a feeling even, but...
Absolutely, and I mean, you know, once you get about 10 feet past the pin, even if you hit the green, you're going over. So it's tough. It's tough to make that choice. This is Dwayne Poss, longtime member of Bentwood, was a golf professional for quite a while, playing with Mickey Scott, longtime golfer here. Probably knows this shot and has no excuse not to make a decent one, but comes up a little short.
And we've seen Mickey play. He played really good golf last weekend in the qualifier, and they played really well as a team yesterday as well in the first round of action.
Well, you know, in San Angelo, quite frankly, we have some amazing talent golf-wise. And, you know, Mickey's always in the mix. He's always got something going on, whether it's in one of the partnership tournaments or whatever. But just an all-around good golfer. Nice and smooth stroke. What a great camera shot of that. Look how much comfortable he is with his stroke. Pulls it a little bit over the green, but hopefully it'll sit down. That was, again, probably a product of a little bit of the wind, but they're on the dance floor. Let's just see if they can consummate.
And, of course, yesterday, that would maybe not have been something they'd been as happy with, but today, because of that pin placement, really sets them up fairly okay.
Sure, and I don't know if we've discussed this. These golfers know that our golf staff will go in and they actually put a little mark on the green where the pins are going to be each day.
Oh, wow.
So on the first day, you'll see the pin, but as long as you walk the green, you'll have an idea of where it is, and it'll also say it on your scorecard. You know, it doesn't say specifically. It'll say center, middle, black, back, or whatever. But if you're paying attention, you can kind of find out where that pin's going to be for the next day, because we go ahead and the committees generally make that a part of the process so guys can kind of plan.
We've got an updated score here real quick. I'm refreshing on the website, so I'm kind of at the same time you guys are, but Pursley and Pursley right now sitting in the lead at 19 under. So they'd like to finish out this hole obviously fairly well and try and stay in the lead and win some money.
Yeah. But A.J. Pursley's a good golfer, been around a long time. So we've got Rogers and Rogers here, who started off at 9:02 a.m. off of number 1. They were at 10 under when they started. Probably looking to pull something off here. This is a kind of a call. You know, you probably don't want to pitch it too much. You're going to have to carry it to the hole. Good news is it's uphill, so you should be able to carry it almost to the hole before it lands.
And because of kind of where that pin is, you don't have to worry so much, unless you absolutely crush it, of rolling down the other side.
No, it's perfect. That's a great shot right there.
Look at that.
That's safe golf right there. He's got his par in the hole. Great camera shot of that ball going up to the hole. So no excuse to leave anything on the, no chicken on the bone at this point, as they say. Nice and aggressive. That could go in, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, well played. Well played.
2 good shots there by that team.
Yeah. You know, Cody, you and I probably wouldn't be able to do that.
No, I know I wouldn't be able to do that.
Did you see how he took that club head back so aggressively and then just feather light, put a little spin on it, and it sat right down just like it was supposed to.
And I'm glad that you bring that up, because sometimes I think we just look at the finishing shot, you know, and look at where the ball lands and go, oh, that's great. But to watch a golfer and to see them go aggressively into that, I would be shivering and go, I don't want to hit it too hard.
Yeah.
But they know that they're not going to.
And it's one of the things we added in this broadcast, I guess, in the partnership we're using here, is this instant replay. It's just so awesome because you get the opportunity to not only see the result of the shot, but go back and look at how he did it. That's
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Dwayne Poss knows this putt. It's going to move a little bit right to left. But it is uphill, so he can be fairly aggressive. Nice roll. Just on past.
How deceiving is it when you're down there looking at it? I think sometimes from our point of view, it's like, well, you can tell it's not going to break. But when you're down there, it changes a little bit on you.
It does. And, I mean, I think it's directly related to how many times you've played the course. And, you know, the more you play a course, you kind of get the feeling of it. And I did get a report that the greens were running pretty fast this morning. But so far, we haven't seen anybody really have anything other than so see how Mickey goes here. You know, both of those guys hit that ball exactly in the same spot, so they were reading it a tidbit differently than maybe what was necessary to make the putt. A lot of that has to do with speed, too. Sometimes these greens will react a little more to a ball with a little less speed on it. And Dwayne having a little bit of a problem there. Now it's time for him to take a deep breath here.
Missing the par putt there.
Mickey cleans up the mess there, so that's good partner golf all the way around.
So they will finish up with a par on 18, as well as Rogers and Rogers finishing up with a par on 18 as well. And when they get their scores reported, we'll bring those in to you.
I'd like to point out that we've got a lot of sponsors for this event. I mean, we got JCAM Catalyst Oilfield Services, Chilton, Wilcox, and Fortenberry, our accountants and CPAs, West Central Wireless, Angelo Pellets, Concho Valley Family Dental, and Hawkins Battery, all helping to make this possible. And you know, there's no way you can pull these things off without the help of the community, and it's always nice to see people stepping up and helping out these events.
And that's one of the things that I think makes it fun too, is that creates a little bit of buzz around San Angelo. When they take off, people know and they look forward to it. And when businesses start to get behind it and back it, that makes it even more fun for sure.
Yeah, it's a good deal. Everybody has a great time. Why wouldn't you want to support something like that? And I think there's a big golf family out there of businesses that like to support golf because they either play or they've got a kid that plays or whatever. I mean, it's you know, John Fortenberry was on our radio show that on Monday on KKSA. We do a little sports radio show, and John was on just last Monday promoting an Angelo State benefit golf tournament. I mean, these Chilton, Wilcox, and Fortenberry are there for golf, that's for sure. And it's so nice to see them continuing to do that. I did see John a little while ago, and he wasn't as happy as we call him Jolly John because he's always in a good mood, but I don't think he had his best day on the course today.
Yeah, and that'll change your attitude fairly quickly sometimes.
Well, you know, golf is a four-letter word.
That's right.
So,
if you're like me and you're just bad at it, then it's always fun, though, because you never expect to do well.
We got Clinton and Cunningham, Ledford and Skillern. First flight started off today, both at 11 under.
They were the leaders coming into today, and both played really good round of golf yesterday.
Mr. Skillern, I know, is an extremely accomplished golfer. Both these teams look like they're in pretty good shape. One not quite as far, but in the short grass, which makes it a little easier, but should have probably, I mean, as much as it could be a wedge or a 9-iron as close as they are. And that's another thing about this tournament is, you know, they set the course up in a way that it's not like super easy or, you know, they let most of the teams, I think it's all teeing off the white tees. It's like, you know, you get an opportunity to go for scoring as opposed to, you know, a lot of golf courses, and there's one in San Angelo that's this way. It's, you know, it's so tough because you have so many issues to deal with. You play defensively all the time. So these guys are set up to play super aggressive golf.
And that makes it fun for us to broadcast and for folks to watch as well, and not just play, because it does give you that opportunity to see things happen and see long putts and see good shots from the fairway.
Oh, yeah. Looks like Ryder Skillern there. Again, he wants to get it up. There's a little hump there, little elephant's back, if you will, on the green. He wants to just carry that. He should be in good shape. Nice smooth stroke there. Back turn to the ball. Carries it a little further than he would like, unfortunately.
I think part of that, too, he just watched his teammate kind of roll back down the front side of that green and didn't want to be in that spot.
Excellent point. You know, I mean, you feed so much off of what your partner does, and these guys are all so similar in skill level.
Yeah.
I mean, he saw his partner short, so you know what he did. He got his, you know, he got his Popeye muscles out there and thought he might need to do a little more than was necessary.
We've got Clinton and Cunningham here now, seeing if they can put themselves in a position to.
Well, there's again at these guys' level, as long as they stay on nice balance, this should be just a field shot. They should be able to put it in there. Beautiful form right there. Almost he's right on that little elephant's hump. It's really interesting. We didn't have a camera hit where he hit because it's hard to tell, but you could see that he hit right there. If he'd have gone about a foot further, it'd have gone right on down to the hole.
And we saw a lot of that yesterday, and I think partially because of where the pin was yesterday, they didn't have much of a choice but to play it in that spot, and we saw a lot of guys roll back down into the fringe. Today we haven't seen that as much.
No. And I think that, you know, it's a testament to the pin placements and that these guys are doing their homework. I mean, they know where they need to be. Because the greens are definitely faster than, you know, and typically in golf tournaments, the greens don't get slower throughout the tournament. You know, they tend to get a little faster. And our stimp meter out here usually runs 10 to 12. I mean, we do take pride in having smooth, quick greens. And some people love it. And it's like I told Jay Webb KLS, the tournament director, yeah, you know, the ones that are complaining are generally the ones that didn't have that good a day.
Yeah, nobody who played well is usually coming off complaining.
They're not coming off going, I made 7 birdie putts today, but those greens are so fast.
When a pin gets moved, how does that work? How do you decide, okay, we're going to put it here today and then somewhere else tomorrow?
That's a good question. I mean, in all of these tournaments, there's a tournament committee. I mean, and it's that tournament committee serves for the rules, because a lot of these players have to work on a self, basis. They don't have like an umpire with them all the time. So the rules committee helps when there's an issue, but they also help in the overall setup for the golf course. Obviously, our golf staff, Brett Balin and Brad Fluitt, our golf course director of golf, will be a big factor in that too, and tell them, here's how the course is playing. We've been fortunate here at Bentwood to have plentiful water due to all of the sources that we have, and so those guys can help them make a choice. But the good thing is it's an element that's a committee decision, and it gets more people involved with those things.
One of the things too, we want to give a big thanks to really the committee who's put this on, because they've done a great job of making sure pace of play has been good and not a lot of lagging around. Everybody's really been playing through and doing a nice job of keeping it going.
Yeah, we had a report before I got over here that, one team turned at 2 hours and 7 minutes and one was 2 hours and 15 minutes, and that's a 4.5 hour round. I mean, that's pretty good. And generally these guys, when they play a bigger tournament, could sometimes stretch into a 6 hour round. And
yeah.
Doesn't look like that's happening today anyway, knock on wood.
Yeah, don't jinx me.
Mm-hmm. Chitter chatter going on as to what to do here.
As it stands right now, Rogers and Rogers are in first place with a 21 under over the 2 days, and it looks like at this point this hole and what's happening right now actually could be a pretty big deal, because Ledford and Skillern have shot 10 under today, and that would put them at 21 under over the 2 days. So they need a really big play here if they want to win this.
Yeah. Let's have to see how the ball falls. Pretty much got the par in the hole, so there's no reason not to try to read this. Looks like he's got maybe a 64-degree wedge there. That's a good camera angle there, and see what kind of club he's using. He's going to pick it up and sit it down. Just went after it a little more than he needed to, probably. But he had his partner ready to go. There's no reason to back off.
So they'll be in a position for at least a tie for first place if they can make the par putt. A really nice putt there, just didn't quite break like he was thinking it might, but still puts them in a good spot as well to finish out the hole.
And our camera guys are great putting it right on the ball there, but you could see the disappointment simply because, that was right in the jaws.
Right.
1 inch over. So let's see if partner can go to school a tidbit here, and I wouldn't leave the hole out of this putt. Just put it in the hole. It's a good roll. Beautiful roll. Oh.
And he'll miss it just to the side there, almost the exact same spot his partner did.
Exactly, and of course it's easy to be a tennis player and sit up here and make all kinds of excuses, but I made the comment, don't leave the hole. He was just a little bit outside the edge. Finishes 18 with a par, though. Can't be too upset about that.
And so those guys will wrap up the first flight of action here. Really good 2 days of action, and we'll, of course, update you with the scores when they become available. If there is a tie, I believe my understanding is they will go back to the first hole and play a tiebreaker. So that would be certainly a lot of fun for those guys. Maybe they might be ready to sit in the clubhouse and be done after 2 days of golf.
And that's the thing, is they're going to have to hold off on the alcohol consumption if they're right in there, because they will have to go out and duke it out for the win. These guys teed off at 9:32. Dayton Draper and Eddie Lohman, and playing with Connor and Sawyer. Dayton and Eddie play all the tournaments around. They're Bentwood guys. They usually do real well. In fact, if my memory serves correctly, they won their flight in the Bentwood partnership. It's kind of interesting. You see these guys like a Vega and Simmons and a Draper and Lohman. I mean, they find somebody that is copacetic with them, and they tend to hang out with them, you know, and they know what they're doing. They practice together. And I think that's, you know, it's just like any other sport. I think they get some intrinsic value out of that instead of picking a new partner every time, you know?
Yeah, and I think people who sometimes maybe watch golf or don't understand kind of how the game really is played, they think it's, well, you just hit it 3 or 4 times and you put it in the hole and that's kind of the end of it. But in this, especially in this sort of a format, there's a lot of strategy that comes with how you play.
There's stuff we haven't even talked about yet. I mean, you know, all of these players have the opportunity to buy a mulligan. And for those people that are not big-time golfers, I mean, a mulligan is basically like in tennis, a second serve. You get an extra option. If you hit a bad shot at any point during the tournament or in the course, you get an opportunity to redo. And, you know, what people don't realize about that, of course, us guys that aren't very good, we're going to get as many mulligans as we can. But, you know, what more of these better teams will do is they'll have an opportunity at a birdie and miss it just barely, and then they'll use that mulligan as an opportunity to score as opposed to stay out of trouble. And so that creates a dynamic for strategy. How do you use your mulligan? When is the best time to do it, you know? And a lot of golf tournaments that play for this kind of money, like I said, you know, $2,560 in the 4th flight is first place. I mean, these guys are going to, you know, there's going to have enough money to buy us all a beer at the end when they do it. So, you know, there's a lot of strategy that goes into it.
And we saw yesterday, I believe, a couple of teams at least used their mulligans here on the 18th hole because they were in position to either get a birdie putt. You know, I think Bubba Crunk was one of those guys. He had a chance to get a birdie and just missed the putt and said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and get the use my mulligan here because I think I can go ahead and get it. And he did. He made it the next time.
No question. I mean, you know, the good use of a mulligan can be the difference between winning the tournament.
Absolutely.
You've been reading the scores off. I mean, we're 1 or 2 shots, you know, between these top teams. I mean, you know, you make your mulligan, you know, that can make you some money. And, you know, only Bubba Crunk would do that on number 18.
Yeah, Dave was upset yesterday because he hasn't been wearing his cowboy hat.
You know, those guys are characters all the way around, and that's what makes it so much fun. You know, my job is so fun because we just hang out with so many different funny folks, and everybody's having a good time. And you know, Bubba, if he's not playing good golf, at least he'll tell you a terrible joke that you'll laugh at just because you feel sorry for him. But he'll at least be telling you jokes.
Well, and I think what you're saying there also speaks volumes about you guys and Bentwood. It keeps bringing these guys back, and you guys do such a great job, not just here with the golf course, but obviously you guys have great stuff going on with the tennis courts.
Sure.
The pool is great, workouts. I mean, everything is great out here, so that keeps people coming back.
Yeah, we're really proud of what we've done. I mean, you know, over the last 5 or 6 years, we've spent $5.5 million upgrading the facility and making it more family friendly and creating an environment that, you know, anybody can come to Bentwood. If you play soccer, there's a place for you to play soccer at Bentwood. If your kids are in basketball, we have that. You know, we're not just a golf and tennis club. We've got pickleball, the fastest growing sport in the United States.
Yeah.
We got the only 4-court facility in West Texas. So we like to think that we're kind of ahead of the curve. But most importantly, all we're really thinking about it is having fun. You know, what's fun? Let's do that.
And that makes it certainly fun for everyone when you get to come out and have a good time. And it's always nice to be somewhere where the grass is green, too, in West Texas.
Yeah, you know, we've worked really hard to secure well water and water rights and things like that to keep our course in good shape, you know. And even in these times when water's, you know, on the forefront of the news, we've gone out and found alternative sources so that we can be good corporate citizens as well.
We are starting second flight play now. The first flight scores come in. We've got a playoff going right now on hole number 1 in that first flight. As we had mentioned, that will be between the teams of Ledford and Skillern and Rogers and Rogers.
Oh.
They're both sitting at 21 under and hoping to certainly win that cash on hole 1.
Well,
so
I will tell you, it's this is when you really, really see who's mentally tough, because they've just worked their way in 100 degrees through 18 holes, which I have the ability to focus for about 4 holes, so that tells you. I mean, 18 holes, and now, you know, they get finished. Generally, that's the letdown time, but guess what? They're right back on the tee. And that's another groovy thing about the duel. A lot of times, they'll have just a scorecard playoff, you know,
right.
And they'll just say, okay, because they don't want to have the time to have to deal with that. But this tournament, they're all about you winning mano a mano, and I think it's really groovy that they're already having some playoffs.
It really has a professional tournament feel to it at times, and I think that makes it a lot of fun for everybody.
Sure, you know, these guys are proud to be in it. You know, if you're a duel winner, you're a pretty groovy dude. You know, and I think that because you have so much that you have to do to get there, so it makes them proud, and then we're dang proud to be a part of it. Looks like Mr. Draper and Lohman and Connor and Sawyer, we've got a little what we call all-around golf. They're all around the green. They're not really close to anything, so it looks to me like they're going to do their best to recover and come up with something here.
This is the first team of the second flight that we're seeing, the first couple of teams here, and Kevin mentioned earlier they teed off about 9:32 this morning to start the second and final round of Texas Duel play here at Bentwood Country Club, and you're watching on ConchoValleyHomepage.com. I'm Cody Adams alongside Kevin Collins, bringing you the action. I'll be here all day. I know Kevin's going to be leaving us here in a little bit. He's got a busy Saturday.
Yeah, it's a busy day for us today, but I'll stick around as long as I can. We do have my assistant GM, Bryce Zack, former professional baseball player, who's now one of our assistant managers here. He's going to come out and help you out the rest of the day, but hopefully I'll be able to stick around for a while.
Check out those pants.
You know, that's the thing about golf is it's not only about skill, it's about bad fashion. You know, and if you don't look the part, you might as well look the part. And I don't know, that is I'm not entirely sure where you would go.
Where do you get those? Yeah.
I know a couple of places in Vegas and a couple of places in San Francisco where you can get those, but I don't know if you can get those around here.
As we wait for that first hole to wrap up over in that playoff, we'll try and get the winners of that first flight when they're done, get them up here and chat with them and just kind of see how things went for them after 19 holes of play maybe. Of course, if they tie, I guess they maybe just keep going. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. I think we jumped ahead of ourselves a little bit. This is Eric Herring and Pamplin and Wiggum and Wisdom. I got to looking for it, Draper and Lohman, and these guys actually took off at 9:24. Unfortunately, my Gatorade was sitting on top of those guys. This is actually Eric Herring and Pamplin playing with Wiggum and Wisdom. These guys play a lot of golf at Bentwood.
And as it stands right now, Herring and Pamplin are at 2 under, I believe, total. And Wiggum and Wisdom are still at 2 over.
Such a typical great camera angle here too. Here that you see how it's just how far do I need to let this ball carry before it releases, and it's tough. It's a tough call. Not much better shot there, nice and smooth. Again, I don't think we have replay there, but I mean, what made that ball slow down was actually how aggressively he went after the backswing. It's what's created the spin to drop the ball down.
And I think that's it's almost underrated how difficult that is to judge when you're on that fringe right outside the green. How much power do I put in this, because I don't want to overshoot the hole?
Well, yeah, and then your partner's 15 feet past. That doesn't make you very excited either. It's a big long putt. That's going to go carry past the hole.
And that's the spot we saw people struggle a little bit yesterday just because you're coming up that hill.
Yeah, well, and it also has kind of a deceptive little, like I said, elephant hump. So once you get up over it, if you're still accelerating, that ball is going to pick up speed. And so you get about 10 feet from where the pin is today, that ball needs to be decelerating at that point because it starts to go back downhill. And it's really tough when you're standing down there that far, not just to grip and rip it, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Got Wisdom here.
It's a nice smooth stroke there. He's going to be closer, but he was decelerating as he got to the elephant hump there, and so therefore it kind of chewed it up. If he'd have had it another foot or foot and a half past, it would have released on down to the hole.
Excuse me, that was Wisdom there with his shot. Sorry, one more time. Pamplin. Jeez.
It's all right. We know what you're doing on the breaks. We heard you're from Colorado. Are you from Colorado, Cody, by any chance?
You know, some Saturdays I certainly am.
There's your power putt right there. Wiggum and Wisdom finishing up with a 4.
I think Pamplin had long sleeves and long pants on yesterday.
Yeah, you know,
well.
a lot of these guys, you know, the sun is such a factor. They, you know, they'll prefer to cover up, you know. So we got Eric Herring coming up with the, see if he can finish this par up. Nice camera angle of that kind of reverse grip there. That's a grip used to try to keep your hands from overproducing. Looks like they're going to take our first bogey today that we've seen since we've been doing.
And that will not make them very happy, I'm sure.
No. Hopefully they had a great time out here, and there's cold beer at the clubhouse if they're looking for that.
Yeah, it'll help you maybe forget the 18th hole if you didn't like the way you finished it out.
For sure. Yeah, unfortunate.
Now we've got Draper and Lohman and Connor and Sawyer out in the middle of the fairway here, just off to the side.
That's Dayton Draper right there. I will say what Dayton puts the time in to his golf game. I can't tell you how many times I'm driving by the driving range and he's out there practicing. He looks like he got a little aggressive there. May have had a tough lie. You know, where they're standing, we can't see it as well, but I mean, there's a little bit of a pretty good tough grass and a little uneven. You know, if they were 5 feet over into the fairway, they'd be perfect, but hopefully they can pull this together. Eddie's been in this situation quite a few times with Dayton, so hopefully he'll just relax and let his club do the work. Ooh, a little aggressive with the follow through there. Not entirely sure where he ended up there.
And it looks like
He's over in somebody's cart.
either way, not where he wants to be.
For sure, and I mean, you could see by the way he swung that he had a little bit of trouble there. This is Lewis Connor, who's probably the nicest guy at Bentwood, Lewis Connor.
That's always a good compliment to get.
Oh, let me tell you, he stops by my office, and I'm having the worst. He's always got a smile on his face and says what a great day he's having. And unfortunately, I don't think that shot was what he was hoping for, but just shout out to Lewis. He's a groovy dude. Playing with Tom Sawyer, not to be confused with the Rush Tom Sawyer. Tom's going to take a little bit of a low approach. That was an interesting push there. He's probably had a little bit of high grass to come out of there. They're going to have a little golf left, but he's in better shape than Lewis was.
And just staying out of that bunker, too, so really not in an awful spot at that point.
Well, you can see, you know, we're looking at these guys in the second flight. You know, we started out with the first flight, and obviously the first flight players are a level ahead, you know, of the second and going down. And so you'll see as we go through the day that, you know, these guys will struggle in areas maybe that we didn't see early on in the broadcast. I mean, you know, these players are just not the same level, but hopefully they can score, and that's a great thing about golf in general. I mean, you know, you handicap yourself in, and at least you're competing with people of similar, you know, similar skill level.
Sure.
And so then it comes down to, you know, who plays well that day.
As it stands right now, finishing up the 18th for Draper and Lehman, they're at 6 under, and Connor and Sawyer are at 5 under. So a pretty big hole for those guys. Of course, we don't know necessarily where the rest of that second flight is score-wise, but
that's a good move. You know, they start off at 1 under, they're at 6, and 1 under and 5 under. That's good. These guys, what they're hoping to do here is make sure they don't give one of them back at this point.
And we talked about that yesterday, David Wagner and myself. We talked about the fact that, you know, just because you played 18 maybe not as well yesterday, it's a brand new 18 today, and vice versa. We've seen some guys' scores not be as good as they were yesterday.
Absolutely. I mean, pin placement, tee placement, and overall fatigue play into how this last hole is going to play for these guys. There has been a nice kind of breeze today, so I don't feel what I would call partnership heat. I mean, I know that I was out here with you guys, and those camera guys, man, they were tough, because when it was 106, it's just pretty hard on you.
Yeah.
Today it seems, you know, a little cooler. Of course, you and I are in the shade.
yeah, up in the trees with the breeze. Yeah.
But still, it seems a little better. Hopefully, it's like Tom Sawyer and Lewis have chosen his play. Now, he's got a little bit of a bunker issue, but probably not terribly. It's more of this time probably judging the distance to carry. You know, if it's carries it a little too far, he's going to come off the back of that green. So he definitely wants to make sure he stays, you know, on his side of the pin.
The mental aspect of kind of where they're standing sometimes can be a little bit difficult as well, because you obviously want to get up onto the green, but not just on the green. You want to get as close as you can to the hole.
Well, yeah, and it's a great point, because that bunker is in his vision, and even though it's probably not even in the play, it's affecting him. So he's got to just take a deep breath and let his club do the work. Nice smooth stroke there from Lewis. I think, too, there's a good camera angle on that one as well. I mean, it was so cool watching how Lewis kept his head down all the way through that. You know, even in the limited amount of golf I played, and my golf teacher would tell me, you know, you keep your head down and I'll watch the ball for you. Well, that was a great example of that. His head was completely still.
And
Tom didn't get much out of that as he would probably have hoped, but he's taking deep breath. I mean, they're in pretty good shape right there. That's a very makeable par putt.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest problem when I golf. I always want to see where I hit it, and then I'm usually looking 3 or 4 feet in front of me because I pulled my head up and topped the ball.
Yeah, for sure. And then, see, in tennis player rules, you would just get to do that just because. Over, you can do it over.
Right, just do it again.
Yeah, yeah. You hit a time warp. That didn't actually happen.
That's right.
Go back in time.
The problem with tennis for me is the energy used is a little bit more than when I'm out on the golf course.
That's for sure. But don't be mistaken. You can drink just as much beer playing tennis. I'm a proven Eddie Lohman. A little bit out to the right. And then we didn't have it on camera, but he turned around and looked back at Dayton. I think he immediately knew what he did, and he's going to coach him up. That's what he's doing. He's saying, "Now, wait a second, that kind of flew out of there a little more than we expected." So I would look for, yeah, you can see even Dayton's even changing his club there. They're like, okay, let's take a look at that, because that's not how we thought it was going to be.
We've seen a little bit of that over the last, qualifiers and yesterday and today, people deciding to forego the short game and just look at that.
See, that's such a great example, though, of partner play, though, because, I mean, Dayton was standing there holding the wrong club. And when Eddie hit his and it flew out of there like a Concorde, you know, he immediately turned and looked at Dayton and said, "Hey, man, don't do that." And that made a big difference. He almost made it.
And that'll let them stay at 6 under over these 2 days of play at Texas Duel. As Connor and Sawyer now look at what they want to do and try and keep their score at 5 under on the day.
Yeah, this is a big deal. I mean, the winner of the second flight's at $2,915. The second place is $730. So this is about a $2,200 situation. Never moved. The ball never moved. And Lewis played it exactly like that. He played it to move about a ball. I think the best bet for them in this situation is to put the ball in the hole. Don't even consider the break.
I think sometimes, too, we think it should break just because of the way we've played golf before.
Yeah, and I mean, see there, I mean, that ball never, great camera angle there. See, you see that how the ball never moved, and so we're able to finish up with their par.
So they'll finish their 2 days at 5 under, and we're going to take a quick breather. You're watching the Texas Duel on ConchoValleyHomepage.com. We'll be right back.
It's hard work and sacrifice, and never even thinking twice, and it's waving at people you don't know. Cause that's how we're born and how we're raised. The Concho Valley is our place. It's cheering for the blue and the gold. Local is your neighbors, local is your friends, local is a place you've always been. Then I love the way KSAN's local every day.
Welcome to Dreamscapes, the Concho Valley's premier outdoor living design center. Choose from a variety of custom outdoor fire pits, pergolas, and other outdoor accessories to help complement your outdoor style. We sit down with you to help design your dream outdoor living space. We offer a wide variety of grills to choose from, including pellet grills, gas, charcoal, and ceramic, along with all the extra amenities to complement that new grill. Visit us today so we can get started on bringing your outdoor living space to reality. Right here at Dreamscapes, located at 3602 South Chad.
Remain informed on breaking news with the updated Concho Valley homepage app. Now containing severe weather alerts, push notifications, extended weather forecasts, and more. Download the Concho Valley homepage mobile app today. Available on iPhone, iPad, and Android.
Football, a game not so easily tackled in 5 minutes. Join sports director Jason Britch and Rachel Turnock as they go inside the game.
A close-up look at your area local high school football games.
For 30 minutes every Friday.
That's a lot of football.
Yes, it is.
You can hear me?
The whole time.
Okay. Inside the game. Fridays at 10:35 p.m. on KSAN, San Angelo's
football channel.
Sponsored by Mitchell Auto Group. It'd be cool if you guys could stop stepping on my lines.
You want some of this, man? Man, I knew I shouldn't have gotten the extra large.
The Locker Room is back on Concho Valley homepage. With high school football scores, highlights, and top stories available right from your computer. Right at your fingertips. The Locker Room. The Locker Room. Only on ConchoValleyHomepage.com. Check it out today.
And welcome back here to the Texas Duel Championship round on ConchoValleyHomepage.com, brought to you by AV Systems and Dreamscapes. I'm Cody Adams alongside Kevin Collins, bringing you all of the action. We're in second flight play now, as it's Ditmore and Temez and Schaefer and Wright.
Yeah, Jared Ditmore, pretty good golfer. These guys playing in the second flight for the opportunity at bucks for the first place. So looks to me like they've been paying a little more attention. This is the first kind of break we've had in teams in quite a while. So obviously they've either run into some trouble or they're just concentrating a little longer than the rest of us.
Well, and they're certainly using that concentration because they're now at 10 under over the 2 days. They went into today at 5 under, so they've added 5 strokes to their score over these last 17 holes and look to finish strong. I know we, as of yesterday, I don't know what it is at this point, but yesterday I believe Bubba Crunk and his team, they were at 11 under, and then there was a score of 12 under with Farr and McMahon. They were leading, so Ditmore and Temez gaining a little bit of ground and putting a little bit of pressure on those guys. Yeah,
it looks to me like that. They're all chit-chatting and hanging out together on the tee box, and that's always good. I mean, even though they're competing, it's always fun to play with some guys that you can kind of get along with and shoot the breeze with and that kind of stuff. So good to see that. And as we've mentioned, a lot of these guys from right here around the area, they know each other. They've played with each other before out here at Bentwood probably. And sure, and qualified together.
Right, so that makes it a little bit of fun as well, knowing maybe kind of how they play a little bit at times and laughing at some of that as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, they take it seriously because obviously you're going to make a commitment to a tour. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're playing the Texas Duel Tour, so they obviously take golf seriously, but on the other hand, I think Jay's format gives them a little bit more room to relax. It's not just constant pressure. So we're here on the 18th hole at Bentwood Country Club, bringing you all of the coverage of these final round of the Texas Duel Championship out here. Stroke there, good balance on the tee. Not sure where the ball came, but really, really nice fundamentals golf swing there. Number 18 is it plays from right to left. It's a slide dog leg, and like we said earlier in the broadcast, the tee box actually is a little bit of a optical illusion, and if you're not paying attention, it kind of points you off to the right. But if you can get into the short area of the fairway, short green grass scenario, it's generally a easy hole to get on in regulation, and then what that means is, if it's a par 4, you hit your tee shot. If you're on in regulations, you're on the green in your second shot, giving you the opportunity to make a birdie. So the hole sets up that way, but it has some trouble on both sides, right and left. We've got tree trouble and stance problems. Brad Fluid, our superintendent here at Bentwood's, done a fantastic job of creating some nice cuts with our fairways. You can definitely tell when you're in trouble and when you're not, and so the hole sets up for a good finishing hole for sure. It makes it a lot of fun to bring you the coverage right here because we get to see some of those guys not necessarily struggle, but, sometimes find themselves in maybe a predicament where they have to have a little bit of a talk with their teammate and say, okay, how are we going to play this? Sure. Because either we're, at the bottom of the green or maybe we're playing up just right outside of a sand bunker, a little bit closer, but how do we want to play it? And that's been a lot of fun to see so far. As Kevin pointed out, that tee box does push them a little bit to the right, and that sends a lot of guys over into that spot. Yeah, we call that Jeremy Bartsville. Jeremy was an old member here that played, and I don't think that we ever saw him anywhere other than over here to the right. If you hit a big one, you can get past that first set of trees, so it should be okay, but you're dealing with some stance issues, so. We've seen it several times today. That's just kind of where they all end up. And what's so funny about it is some of these guys have been playing this course for 30 years, and they'll tell you when they come off, hey, you don't want to be over there, and then they're there every time. It's kind of like Groundhog Day for them, That's right. Looks like we've made a choice maybe not to stay on the right side. They're doing a little cart golfing over there, but trying to figure out which is the better shot to take. Well, and as we've talked about, there is money involved here, so you want to make sure that you're picking, the best spot and looking at all options if you can
For sure.
Yeah, and having there's so many different money options. I mean, you've got there's probably skins game. There's guys playing against each other. That's what's so great about golf is that even if you're in last place on the last day, you can round up a couple of guys that'll play you in Nassau, and so you can come out with a little bit of self-respect. But so definitely a lot of opportunities for these guys to make some cash. Looks like we've chosen the right side, so they're going to go for it.
And again, right now, that is Ditmore and Temez, and they're 10 under, improving their score throughout today and looking to get themselves in a position to finish really well after a day of 18.
Yeah, for sure.
Where they are right now, and it's kind of hard to see because it looks like they're playing right into trees, but is that necessarily true, or?
No, they're probably, now here's the deal. You have to ball up.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, and they've kind of chosen to let their partner team kind of go first, and maybe because they're actually a little closer, but whatever. Yeah, no, it's a little bit of an optical illusion, but man, they say a tree's 90% air, but when you're standing there about ready to hit, it looks like it's 90% wood. So.
Yeah, you find that 10% pretty quickly.
You sure do.
So that's Schaefer and Wright. They're going to actually go first. You just saw Wright hit his ball, and it fell just right there on the fringe of the kind of the down slope of the front side of that green. So his partner Schaefer is certainly going to try and put them in a little bit better of a position if he can.
No reason not to go for this one. Nice smooth stroke right there. Oh, catches the bunker for the first time today. We see a little Beach Boys situation. Unfortunately, they probably won't want to choose that because that bunker is extremely deep.
And we saw actually a team yesterday made the decision to play out of that bunker for some unbeknownst reason to me, and it came back to bite them a little bit. They lost a couple of strokes and ended up double bogeying on this hole.
It's definitely a choice that only the better players need to try to make. That sand shot's tough. Earlier we were seeing the guys on camera kind of bent over with the ball. What the deal is with that is they have there's some rules about how they can place a ball when they're in the rough, and they were just making sure that they were within the rules. Nice smooth stroke there. Should come out of the trees for sure. And finds himself on the green. He's got a little real estate to work with, but I would be extremely happy.
Really lucked out a little bit. I don't want to say lucked because it takes talent to do that, but to get that ball just to stick there, we've seen a lot of guys land in that spot and roll back down into that fringe.
Right. And, that's, coming out of the rough like that probably didn't generate as much normal backspin that you would get when you're hitting that shot because of the grass, and that actually came back and helped him a little bit. Definitely want to carry all the way to the hole with this. There's no reason not to. The trees are a bit of an issue, but realistically should get a full swing at this. Kind of sat down and picked it up. It looks to me like, yes, going to be a little short. Whenever you see that little dip in their stance when they kind of go down and almost kind of sit in a little bit of a chair, that means they're kind of digging for gold, and that generally doesn't mean that they're going to get their club head. Almost said racket head, but and it generally doesn't get the club head through as much, and therefore a ball falls a little short.
And kind of odd that would, I would assume he didn't do that on purpose, because the way we've seen guys play, if your partner lays up a little bit, you want to go a little bit deeper with it if you can.
Well, that's an example of him just trying a little too hard in his body, absorbing that instead of relaxing and letting the club head work. And that's the tightrope these guys walk. It's like, between muscling it and having some feel for it. I mean, it's a tough deal.
So Ditmore and Temez sitting right now, as we said, at 10 under. They're in a pretty good position to keep that score pretty steady, and they'd certainly like to sink a long birdie putt if they could to try and improve that score even and finish up their day maybe at a little bit better than they did yesterday. I mean, really gaining at least 5 strokes, that's a pretty good day.
Yeah, for sure. And, both teams are going to have to come up with something special to score. They're definitely not in easy world type situation. So they're going to have to, somebody's going to have to step up and rise to the occasion.
You mentioned a little bit earlier, and if anyone wasn't listening, I think it's important to point out kind of that elephant hump you were talking about in the middle of really where they're going to be hitting. They're going to hit that portion.
Yeah, anytime that you're over there kind of next to that bunker or on the bottom of the green, you just have to read that into it. Now, the guys that play here on a regular basis know about it. But, if you don't, it would be very smart to do exactly what these guys are doing. They're walking up the green to try to determine where that kind of rise occurs, just to kind of see. You can feel that the earth change a little bit there.
And we saw yesterday, and we've seen a little bit today with some of the first flight guys, they'll actually walk to that spot and kind of give a practice swing from there to see the speed portion of it as well.
Sure, and I think that's a great point to make because, it's all a matter of having that feel for every part of the green. And the better golfers will tell you, you can see so much more from above the hole than you can from below the hole.
Right.
And so whenever you're looking, you really want to have someone standing above that hole to help you read that putt because there's a lot going on. Not a bad putt. It's going to release on down. Just got over the elephant's hump. Not a bad putt from there for sure. Being in that fringe, the first rotation or two of the ball can be so affected by that little bit of extra grass. And so all these players are hoping to kind of not muscle it, but push that ball on past that more heavy grass and so that they can get a true roll. And I'm sure y'all saw it yesterday, too. You'll see that ball just bump to the side, and, that just ruins it. So you've got to get it through there.
We just got word that Rogers and Rogers won the playoff in that first flight to take home the prize money, so congrats to those guys.
It's $3,155 for first place and $790 for second. Good day for the Rogers clan.
If they swing on through, we'll try and maybe grab one of them, maybe both of them, and chat with them if they make it back this way at any point. They may be already using a little bit of that money at the bar, yeah. And at that point, I'll try and catch them afterwards and interview them there by myself.
Yeah, it might be even better, huh? These guys teed off at 9:40 today, finishing up right about 2:20.
Again, Ditmore and Temez sitting at 10 under over these last 2 days, yesterday and today. So really finishing up a good couple of rounds of golf and looking to add to it here if they could. A very impressive end to the day.
Absolutely, and this is a 4.5-hour round. They should feel reasonably fresh. They're not in some kind of a long-term situation. So let's see if this ball will release a little bit down to the hole. Needs a little more to go.
And that's, we've talked about that. Sometimes even just the slightest hump or slope in a green can be a little bit deceiving because obviously that means that there is a lot further for that ball to travel, but it may not look like it because you see the hole right there at you, so it kind of sometimes mentally can mess with things.
Absolutely. Hopefully, partner went to school a little bit. Needs to be a little further up the hill before it starts to decelerate. And again, same scenario. Just needed to be moving a little more before it got to the hill.
They'll put themselves in a fairly good spot, though, for a chance at par to finish up their day, maybe at 10 under.
For sure.
Green and Wright will step back and let Ditmore and Temez go ahead and maybe finish this out.
Started out at -5. Where are they at now?
-10 now at this point.
Well, certainly can't be upset about that. Takes his hands off the grip of the putter there to try to relax a little bit. That's a good, smart move there. Relaxes the club head all the way through, nice and smooth.
Makes it look easy, and they'll finish their day at 10 under, rather their tournament at 10 under.
Looks a tidbit like fairly similar putts here for these guys. Should be relatively routine. Well done.
And they'll finish their tournament at 1 under, so a good couple of days of golf for everybody there, and they'll get to get out of the sun and relax and have a little bit of fun now.
Well, I like this format as well. I mean, finishing on Saturday and having all day Sunday to kind of recover. We've gone to that format with a lot of our tournaments. That's mostly coming from the players. You know, it's tough if you're playing on Sunday afternoon and it's 8 o'clock when you finish or 7 by the time you get through, and you've got to get up and go to work. And a lot of these guys travel in from out of town. It's way easier on them to come in on a, Thursday evening and play and have all day Sunday to recover.
In last weekend's qualifier, we actually had a guy from South Carolina playing in this. So,
well, it's like I said, the format's great, and I think it'll only grow. There's going to be better and better players every year, and more of them.
Right now, we're taking a look at that's Ledesma and Valdez and Grimmett and Mandrell, and they've had a nice day as well. They're right now Ledesma and Valdez are sitting at 9 under after the 2 days. And Grimmett and Mandrell are at 8 under to the final hole of these 2 days of action. And sitting in a good spot in the middle of the fairway there.
Yeah. First ball kind of carried over the green, so hopefully we club down just a little. It's a perfect spot to be hitting from. Straight to the pin. Kind of looks like he pushed it off to the left a little bit there. Yes. Unfortunately, got his right side through a little bit more maybe than he wanted to and kind of came over that ball. So both team members there on just over the green in the first cut coming back up the hill. Same result. So all these teams are clubbing down a little more than they need to. Maybe the wind has died a touch. But all 3 players so far carrying over the green.
Let's see if Mandrell learned anything after watching the other 3 go.
He relaxed. You could tell he relaxed a lot on that. Still carries it a little bit over the green. So, these guys falling victim to that, coming up, it's a slight uphill to this green, and there's a little bit of wind, and I think they just maybe compensated for that just a touch.
So for Ledesma and Valdez sitting at 9 under, they took their first swings there from the fairway, probably had a big, deep breath after they saw the guys they're playing with do the same thing.
Yeah, we're going to get some more instruction on pitching and putting here from these guys. Again, there's a lot of sponsors involved with this tournament. JCAM, Catalyst, Oilfield Services, Chilton Wilkes, Berry Accounting and CPAs, West Central Wireless, Angelo Pellets, Concho Valley Family Dental, and good old Hawkins Battery. If you ever need any batteries or golf carts or just stuff to run your mother-in-law around on the farm, you just call up Hawkins Battery. They've got all kinds of great stuff.
Certainly has helped make for a fun couple of days here in the championship round. The qualifiers were a lot of fun as well, and really been a fun time out here at Bentwood Country Club as we bring you all of the action here on ConchoValleyHomepage.com. It's brought to you by Dreamscapes and AV Systems. We appreciate their help for getting us out here and making this happen as well, and enjoying a little bit of golf on a Saturday. Get that honey-do list put on the back burner for a little bit.
Yeah. Hang out and watch some good golf. Now, both of these pitch shots, there's a lot of makeability in these. And then what I mean by that is that, they're going uphill. When you talk to a person who's off in the fringe, above a hole, if you're going down the hill, that's scary. Well, at least they have the opportunity to hit into the hill a little bit here, so it won't necessarily be as damaging if they're a little bit past. So as far as fringe pitches, this is probably as good as you can get.
And we're going to assume that they'll both probably pitch out of that, but we have seen a couple of guys, even from that far back, choose to putt.
Yeah. Picked it up. Again, good camera angle there. You can see he used his shoulders a little extra there, and that probably checked the ball up. But he's got a straight putt for his par. Obviously, he'd like to be 2 or 3 feet closer than that, but it's not devastating, and had kind of the right idea.
So his partner will get to try and best that a little bit, get them a little bit closer, see how the ball rolled once it got up on the green there.
You know, it's a matter of getting the club head back and then just relaxing your hands and just let that club do the thing that all those engineers have decided that it should do.
And that, you know, that may be harder to do here than it is anywhere else on a hole, because you don't want to overshoot it. As for when you're driving, you can kind of crush it and play from wherever you land.
Yeah, you hit for show, you putt for
That's
dough.
right.
I mean, you know, that's a good play right there. Very makeable putt for the par. Should be fairly routine for that. Now here's what you were just talking about, choosing the putter as opposed to the pitch. Both of these guys are going to choose to putt.
And, you know, it kind of just becomes a preference thing for a lot of these guys at that point. You maybe don't feel as comfortable pitching from that point. And
you know, it's also kind of how you get the ball started. You know, one of the secrets of putting off the fringe is to kind of get your hands in front of the club head so you create a little top spin. You get that ball to start rolling with some top spin. It doesn't seem to get as affected by the grass. If you kind of, on the other hand, if you kind of come in and cut that ball, the grass will be overly effective on holding the ball.
we've seen a little bit of difficulty in reading it off of that fringe just because you have that lip, and you can see that small little bounce when it comes off. Oh, nice putt there.
That's a great putt, though. And, you know, but you're exactly right. As soon as it came out, it kind of jumped a tidbit to the right, and that made a huge difference. Both teams safe, though, not hurting themselves any.
And they're each going to have a chance to putt for par here. Again, just a quick reminder, Ledesma and Valdez sitting at 9 under, Grimmett and Mandrell sitting at 8 under. We've seen some really good scores over the last 2 days out here at Bentwood, and you talked a little bit about that earlier, just this course really being for scorers more so than getting frustrated every time you hit the ball.
Yeah, we kind of tried to set it up in a way where they could be aggressive and kind of go that. Nice all-around good putt right there. He used all the hole, but doesn't matter as long as it goes in. Good way to finish, nice par. But yeah, I think that one of the things we want to try to do is you know, we're teeing from the white tees. We're doing some things to make it more about aggressive golf, maybe not as much defensive.
And so they'll both par, and Valdez and Ledesma will finish at 9 under. Grimmett and Mandrell will finish at 8 under in the second flight. So a good day of golf for both of those teams as they both improved their scores after yesterday. And so far been a good day of golf here between the first two flights as we move on to the next group now. That's going to be Camacho and Garcia, and they're sitting at 10 under. And Dusek and McMillan now at 4 under. So Camacho and Garcia kind of playing really just about even on the day.
Pretty steady, and then looks to me like Dusek and McMillan have given a few shots up, so that's unfortunate.
We've talked about that difficulty, though, of turning around and playing again really the very next day. And I know a lot of these guys play multiple days, maybe in a row even, but that's still mentally taxing when you know you're trying to come back out and win money.
For sure, and I mean, golf is just unforgiving anyway. I mean, you know, you can get off in the first 2 or 3 holes, be out for the day, you know, and it's sometimes, you know, it's the course, sometimes it's you. but there's so many elements that can affect a golf, outing that, that's how you can have these guys sometimes lose their focus and kind of fall off the deep end.
And Camacho and Garcia, as well as Dusek and McMillan, they teed off just before 10 o'clock this morning at 9:56. So kind of an early day for them. I think yesterday they teed off a little bit later than that. Yeah, right about the same time, 9:58 yesterday morning. So that's kind of nice, too, to know that you're got the same day coming ahead of you.
Yeah, timing's fairly similar, but, I mean, a 4.5-hour round in a tournament like this, that's a good pace of play. So realistically, the guys should feel reasonable. Of course, we've got over here the Easter egg hunt going on, trying to see what we've got. It looks to me like somebody kind of is donating to Henry Hogada's restaurant with a golf ball. So, unfortunately, that's a rule people don't sometimes homeowners get a little fired up about. No, you cannot go over there and get your ball once it goes into that backyard.
It is now mine.
It becomes the property of the homeowner. So, and the other thing that's over there is there's a slight drainage element that comes in between a couple of those houses, and if that ball happened to have fallen in that, it may not be in the out of bounds area. So the other thing that's kind of groovy is both teams are over there kind of checking it out and saying, okay, it's all good with me. Again, another self-ruling situation so that they know that, hey, we're doing this. This looks a little, iffy maybe. Where do you guys think? And they get over there and kind of sort it out. But in the event that they can't sort it out, we do have a rules committee that can be here. Steve McNabb, the head professional for Two Pro Club Management, is our kind of tournament guru kind of guy, and he would be out there dealing some grief if there was any issues.
These two teams were paired up yesterday with each other, so they've now played 2 full days of golf pretty closely, and that's a lot of fun.
As long as some marriages, I know. I wonder if they're starting to get on each other's nerves or not.
And we saw some pairings change up, depending on scores and kind of how things might finish. They switched that around a little bit on some guys, and that's set up for some fun golf today as well. We've already seen, again, that first flight went into a playoff, and Rogers came out as the winners in the first flight, taking home some cash in first plate. Just been a good day so far.
Just for old wrangle of our guys, that's a rangefinder. And basically all of the pins have a crystal or something of that nature that picks up that rangefinder. So these guys can literally tell to the inch how far they are from the hole, and you'd be surprised how much that affects some things. When I was a kid playing golf, we just had to kind of go, how far you think it is, Now you can actually tell within an inch how far it actually is, which kind of makes me wonder if you want to do that, because if you actually know for sure how far it is and you're like way off, that kind of makes you really stink.
Yeah, right?
Back in the old days, you can go, oh, well, you just didn't know how far it was.
I was off by 10 yards. I didn't realize.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, in the information age, we know oftentimes more than we need to.
Well, and look, it's the same way with clubs, too. Some of those clubs you can get now, hybrids, things of that nature, can give you the exact yardage you need. So if you're off on that, too, then you really...
Yeah, it's a great Madonna song. It's Material Golfer, and I used to call my father the Material Golfer instead of the Material Girl, because when he played, he always had to have the newest thing. And quite frankly, I mean, that it has really advanced. There's a lot of options out there.
So Camacho and Garcia are going to play from way off in the distance there.
Yeah, that would be an example of something you don't want, which would be, that's bad stance, bad lie, probably a dog chewing at you. Henry's got a couple of pugs over there that are usually hollering at you, so there's a lot of distractions going off there. So hopefully he can power through it.
And it can really, too, make mentally, you know, we've talked about that a lot, but you're playing there with a fence right against you, you're in the shade, you've got trees in front of you, the cameras are there. I mean, there's a lot of things happening as a little West Texas golf there.
Yeah,
just
you
kind of push it out.
took the words right out of my mouth. What a smart player right there. He just avoided it all and just took into consideration what we used to call Lubbock golf. We just punch it out there and see what we can have. You know, they're clearly playing to successfully finish the hole with as least amount of damage. Probably a smart move.
And so now we'll take a look at Dusek and McMillan. Right now they're shooting 4 under. Haven't probably had the day that they enjoyed yesterday.
Nice stroke there, though. Nice stroke. Carries it just a touch, but really came right over the top of the pin. Maybe had just a little more club than he needed, but right on line.
I've said this before talking with others. The game of golf is so interesting in the sense that when you do something, quote-unquote, perfectly, there are a few things in the world that feel better than knowing that you hit the ball correctly, it landed where you wanted it, and you used the right club.
And you can actually kind of tell when you hit it. That's even more. A little,
you hear that
little
sound.
Sixth sense or something, you know. I don't know. Pretty good stroke. Kind of came through it a little quick. If it'll sit, it's not going to be bad. Unfortunately, a little bit past, but probably is going to stay on the green. But carried it just a little further than he wanted to.
And he will just barely stay right there on the green, so not an awful spot to be in, but I'm sure obviously he would have liked if that ball would have just kind of stuck on the green. And
well, and you know, unfortunately, you know, you look at those guys at Augusta, and they can hit that ball and kind of make it back up and that sort of stuff. I mean, that's a lot harder than you might think. But in general, too, when you're playing in West Texas on these, you know, pretty fast greens, you just have to factor in that the ball is going to release. I mean, it's West Texas. That's just the way it is. And unfortunately, probably a foot back, closer to the hole, he'd have been perfect.
You know, obviously a lot of these guys from Texas, so they get that. But I'm from Indiana, where things are just a little bit softer, sometimes a little bit wetter, things of that nature. And when the first time I played in Texas, it's totally different. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a different game. There's no question. Looks like we're deciding whether to come out of the bunker or if we're going to think about maybe trying to take more distance. Now, Cody, you and I would definitely choose more distance.
Yes, for sure.
But you know, you talk to the guys who play all the time. If you just have the right mindset and understand how to hit a sand shot, it's really a little bit of a, you know, smoke and mirror thing. It's not as tough as you might think. Now, during partnership, we had Wagner stand in that bunker on one of our shots to show just how deep it is. It's a good ways down there. So, you know, but if you've got a lot of experience and practice in a bunker, I mean, a lot of times it's just not that big a deal to these guys.
There's a little bit, too, especially when you're playing with a buddy. You know, your ego every now and then can go, no, I think I can hit out of that.
Yeah, yeah. I will tell you, I think it's important that they go ahead and make a decision. You know, sometimes you can overthink it, and the more you overthink it, the more you tend to kind of talk yourself out of it. So
sure.
The few golf lessons I took when I was a kid, my, Bruce Cotton was my my coach in San Angelo Country Club, and he said, hey, don't stand over it more than about 10 seconds because you can't concentrate that long, boy. Well, and it worked out for me, I have to be honest with you. I play faster, I get it over with, you know.
They're going to go ahead and play that distance shot.
I think that's the smart move. They've got some green to work with. You know, there's a lot. They're in the short grass. There's no reason why they, you know, can't get good balance. It's not a bad-looking shot. It needs to settle. Good place. Pretty much a straight putt coming up for the par. You know, his partner's taking a deep breath and going, okay, that's good now. Made the right decision. Now I can maybe focus in on being a rock star here.
Yeah, how great for them to be kind of in that position where you're going, man, I really don't want to bogey this, and now you put yourself in a position for a really reasonable par.
Absolutely.
and you get to see your partner go. So now you can really play for it and maybe try and sink this. You never know.
Yeah, he's going to be aggressive for sure. Oh, that's a nice putt. That's a nice shot right there. That's a really nice shot. That's a really nice shot.
Oh,
phenomenal touch right there. Something you and I will never have.
No, when he's finished up here, they'll be talking about that shot for a little while.
Good example, though, of talking it out and figuring out which way to go. So kudos to those guys. That was serious rock star status. And, you know, our camera angle was on him so good you could see when he hit the ball that it looked good coming off of the club.
And that's so hard too, because not only do you have to get to the green, but then you've got to judge once it hits the green how fast is it going to go at that point, and it really played up really well.
Well, you know, at 10 in the morning, that green is going to hold different than it does at 2:30 and 5 o'clock. So I mean, it's constantly changing, and it does create some, you know, frustration for these guys. But for some reason, they keep coming back.
I don't.
My tennis court doesn't change, you know.
Yeah, it's always there.
It's always the same. I can only blame myself, you know. So
that's right. There's a fence to stop your ball from going too far.
But I guess that's one of the great things about golf as well.
So Dusek and McMillan will go ahead and let Camacho and Garcia finish that out for a par, and they'll finish at 10 under after 2 days. So a really good couple of days of golf for those guys.
Sure was.
And Dusek and McMillan now will kind of look at things and see how they're going to finish this putt off. Not necessarily an easy one, but
no, but you know, it's one of those that can be one of the makeable ones. It's straight up the hill. You probably don't have a ton of break. You know, just get it to the hole. He's a little hefty. I was a little hefty on that, but a good idea. And so, you know, these are the kind of ones that you might make a nice long birdie putt, because it does add up to not a lot of movement. It comes down to how hard you're going to hit it, which we clearly hit it a little too hard then, but.
So now McMillan will take his swing at things.
Much better putt there. Much better putt there. That's in the hole.
And that's
again. It's interesting because there are places on this green that really play well for making a longer putt. And then, you know, even though they were disappointed in their second shot, that was a very makeable putt. And outstanding finish to the day. That's a birdie, I believe.
It is, and that puts them at 5 under over the 2 days. And that's what we've talked about before. Just great partner play. You get to see your partner beforehand kind of put too much on it and see where that line really is and come back and correct it.
Absolutely. Got Jake Farr and Tommy McMahon, Bubba Crunk, and Mr. Wade coming in second flight, teed off at 10:04. If nothing, this is probably an entertaining group of golfers. Bubba's one of my good friends. I've hunted with him, hung out with him, talked rock and roll music with him, but I don't play golf with him because just can't take the whipping.
Well, they're having a great day as well. They've improved their score right now, sitting at 13 under after 2 days of golf. And Farr and McMahon have had a little bit of trouble today. They've given up 5 strokes. They're back down to 7 under now after leading yesterday.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things. Sometimes you get off to a really good start, and you know, things backlash on you on the second day.
So right now we're taking a look at Farr and McMahon, and you know, they're still having a good time. They're still laughing and smiling and having fun, and that's again part of what it all comes down to, is just having a good time with guys that you know how to play golf with.
Well, you can tell that when he hit that ball, he knew he was a little short. He just started walking straight to the cart after he hit it. So, but they're on the dance floor. It's a darn tough putt to make, but you know, at least you've got an opportunity.
Both of these teams sitting in a pretty good spot for their second shot, so they have to be pretty happy about that. And you can tell that they know how to play this course too, because as you mentioned, that tee box does push guys off to the right, but if they know how to play it, they can get back into this positioning.
So we got Bubba coming up in the yellow shirt, taking his time. Kept his head down nice and smooth with that stroke. Carries just a touch long there.
We saw yesterday, we had mentioned that Bubba used his mulligan on the 18th hole to get them to 11 under. They were at 10 under at that point and kind of needed that extra oomph, and so far it's looking like that's going to actually play out now.
Yeah, I would think so. There's really no reason for the, this is a clubbing issue right here. You just need to make sure you pick the right club, and the wind is kind of, you know, up and down a little bit. It just kind of comes down to picking the right club here. The shot's not hard. It's just getting it to land in the right spot. Again, carried over just a little further than they probably would have liked, and so unfortunately, a little wind factor, and coming up the hill, they may have just used a little more club than they might have needed.
This is the final group of the second flight, so it'll be interesting to see if they can finish out strong. You know, they have a 3-stroke lead right now as is, but you don't know how that's going to play out.
13. 7. Sorry, guys, we were getting a little information to some of the players there, and everybody's kind of watching to see where everybody's at. I think there's reasons to watch because of your play. There's reasons because you might have bought somebody in the Calcutta, and there's reasons because you might just decide to go on home.
That's right.
And so the guys are all coming in at the end of these flights to see who's doing what.
Ditmore, Temez, and Camacho and Garcia, those teams are tied at 10 under behind Crunk and Wade right now with their 13 under. So if Bubba, Crunk, and Wade, if they can finish out strong, they should win this second flight, which I'm sure they'd be pretty happy about, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. $2,915 in prize money. Bought themselves in the player pool. That's even better.
They'll have a little bit of work to do, though. They're being off of the fringe there, kind of into that second part of the fringe, and it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. We've seen guys chip it out of there. We've seen guys putt it out of there.
You know, my gut feeling is they may do one of each.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, really in the gray area there. If you can lift that ball past the fringe and get it on the right line, that's the goal.
You know, if it was me and I was golfing, there would be a lot more question about the final scores here, because I could easily gain 3 strokes putting back and forth.
Yeah. Well, you know, today we haven't seen a lot of guys with, you know, we've only had one bogey so far, so that's not too bad. So the guys have kind of got it figured out, looks like.
Farr and McMahon now gonna go ahead and take their first swing at it.
He got over the elephant hump perfectly. I mean, that's a heck of a golf shot right there from where he was at. I mean, it's almost impossible to tell how much it's going to break. I mean, you can sit there and look at it all day long, but it's a lot of speed. But he's in a perfect position to finish out with a par, so he should be happy there.
And from where they are, you've really got 3 things to worry about before you ever worry about whether the ball's going to break or not, because you've got the speed, you've got the slope, you got the elephant hump, you got it all.
You can play the right break but the wrong speed. I mean, there's just several variables there that just the moons have to align for it to work out. Putt right there as well. Just a
Very
little
nice.
past. Looks like Mr. Senior Crunk will be choosing his putter, and his partner will be possibly choosing the pitching. So let's just kind of see which was the right choice.
Not a lot really messing with you kind of from that point, other than being in the fringe.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it just depends. You've got to get the ball to roll true through the fringe. And again, like I said, some of the guys will tell you, you know, it's almost like you push your hands in front before you take your backswing, so you get a little more top on the ball. nice and aggressive there. He was overly aggressive. And again, even if we had a replay there, his hands kind of cut that ball. And, boy, once that happens, the grass takes over.
And you could see him respond to that as soon as it happened.
Yeah,
he knew it wasn't what he wanted.
He could actually feel his hands kind of coming through it. You could tell.
But his partner, Wade, will get a swing at things here to try and improve their score. They're sitting at 13 under right now in the lead in this second flight.
Here's an interesting thing. They've chosen to take the pin out. You know, in golf, if you're off the green, then the pin can stay in. But these guys, they're playing to make this, you know, and it just depends on who you talk to. But the pros will tell you to take the pin out, and that's what these guys are doing, to give the ball every opportunity to hit the hole. A little aggressive as well.
So they'll put themselves in a position for a makeable par putt.
Got a little chicken left on the wing, as they say, so they'll have to at least concentrate to finish up, which, you know, is difficult to do, but looks to me like their lead is still intact there.
Right now, shooting 13 under. They've got a 3-stroke lead on Ditmore Temez and Camacho Garcia, both of those teams sitting at 10 under. So, you know, barring something crazy happening, they should be okay, but...
Well, as much golf as Bubba and these guys play, they know the greens, so they've really got nothing to do other than finish. And I know that sounds funny, but it's the truth. They understand what the pole is going to do. They don't have any, you know, rocket science studying to do at this point. It's just a matter of finishing it up. And that Wade's like, look at that little spot right there. I want you to hit that spot. And good partner golf going on right here.
And that does help, too, at times. You know, you may see something a little bit different from where you're standing, and your partner goes, wait a second, I'm not sure what you're looking at because I'm seeing this instead. And
yeah, that gives you an opportunity to at least discuss it and find somebody to blame it on. Bubba with the standard grip, nice and smooth. Partner gives him the go-ahead. Perfect putt. Finishes out strong. Nice par. A tidbit of drama, but not too much. They finished it solid.
And so they will win the second flight with a 13 under. A good day for Bubba Krunka and Jay Wade as they go on to win that flight and wrap up the day before it gets here.
Third flight teed off today at 10:20 a.m. First group coming through are, I believe, Braden and Carr and Tom DeLauder and Trey Dendy. Both of those teams were at +2 after yesterday's.
And they're both playing some good golf today as you look at that putt from Bubba Krunk to seal the victory for them in the second flight. But
well done.
Both of these teams in the third flight, Braden and Carr and DeLauder and Dendy, now sitting at 1 under after 2 days of golf. So yesterday they were both at 2 over when they wrapped up 18, and they've kind of buckled down a little bit here in the third flight.
Most definitely. I mean, that's good little rally golf right there. Somebody in the Calcutta is happy with these guys if they've improved them.
Sometimes, and you know, I find if I play in something like this, sometimes that can be a little bit difficult when you go and you play their first 18 and you haven't had a great day. It's hard to turn around that next day and really buckle down and play it well. Sometimes you can just carry that on over.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's all how you perceive things and what your attitude is, and sometimes, you know, you have a bad round, you just kind of relax and say, what the heck, and the next thing you know, you're playing great. So it's a mental situation for sure.
We've got 7 groups here in this third flight division, 14 teams playing in this grouping. And so it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this all settles in today as guys kind of come in and finish up these 18 holes. You're watching the Texas Duel Championship here on ConchoValleyHomepage.com, brought to you by AV Systems and Dreamscapes. I'm Cody Adams alongside Kevin Collins joining me up here in the booth, and we've had a pretty fun day.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some really good golf, and I mean, it's been some aggressive stuff. We've seen a couple of long birdie putts. We've seen some guys come out of some trouble, and so I guess that's what they call golf. You know, looks like our group coming up is got at least 2 people in the middle of the fairway, so they shouldn't have any excuses once they get there.
And we've already had quite a bit of fun things happening in today's golf tournament. You know, we've had good scores. We had a playoff in the first flight. Rogers and Rogers ended up winning that one over Ledford and Skillern. They shot a 21 or 22 under, I believe, to win the money there. So a fun day for them. And we've had good scores here in the second flight as Bubba Crunk, his team, just won 13 under on the day for them. A couple of 10 unders in that second flight. So really some good golf for everybody. And it's been a nice day outside, just not too hot. Kind of a little bit of a light breeze to keep things going and keep things refreshing. And it's been good out here.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's I think the overall atmosphere and the way that this tournament is set up, and it's a year-long proposition. Like I said, I was talking to Jay West, the man from the Duel, if you will. He's got some great ideas for next year, and they've got some. They're playing aggressively. These guys are getting to go after it a little bit more, and I mean, I can't tell you how much it's refreshing to see that. And I think a lot of times we spend a lot of time, playing defensively on a golf course. We haven't seen a lot of defensive play today.
We haven't.
Guys been able to go for opportunities, and the way that the format is set up, it gives them that, and I think that'll keep them coming back.
There's money on the line, so guys want to do everything they can to put it in their own hands to go ahead and win, and we've seen a lot of play like that today.
Well, you've got a great combination. You got a pretty day, blue skies, plenty of cold alcoholic beverages available yesterday and today. A great shootout on Thursday. They had they started everything out on Thursday. Everybody's kind of got in, had a little players pool. So, everything's kind of fallen together. So hopefully, there's going to be some smiles on these golfers' faces. And more importantly, hopefully they'll sign up again for next year.
Absolutely. And again, we've got teams of Braden and Carr and DeLauder and Dindy here starting off play in the third flight. Both of those teams sitting at 1 under after 2 days of golf, and coming into today, they were both 2 over. So really playing some good golf today to get back to this point.
And, they may have been pushing each other. When one team starts playing better, that other team rises too. And you see that a lot of times where, this is helping each other to improve their scores. They're pushing each other each hole. This is Tom DeLauder, obviously a fan of Duck Dynasty. Tom and I went to school together. Great guy, good golfer. He looks a lot older than me, though. I think he lived harder than I did.
We won't tell him you said that.
He knows it. Oh, he pushed it a little bit. And I almost said that because I didn't want to give him bad karma, but you could see with his fundamentals, I mean, he really opened his shoulders and his hips, and that means right. If you're a right-handed player and your shoulders and hips open up early, that ball is going to push off to the right. And unfortunately, he lost a little of the fundamental there.
And there's so much that can cause stroke to go incorrectly from the very get-go that sometimes we forget or don't really pay so much attention to, especially you get to this point in the day where you've been playing for 3.5, 4 hours, and you're kind of ready to be done. And
they're tired. These guys are a tidbit
sure.
tired. Trey Dindy, he played safe. You could tell even by the way that he approached that shot. He was not going to get fancy with it at all. I think that they're resigned to the fact that this is a par situation for them. So he's not on the green, but he's not in a whole lot of trouble. So probably a smart move after Tom kind of threw a lead balloon there on his. Probably a smart play on Trey's part.
So now Carr and Braden will take their swing at things from the fairway as they try and put themselves in a good position here to maybe get a birdie if they can put it on the green here, or at the very least put themselves in an easier position to set up for a par.
Yeah, perfect position. A lot of guys will tell you they prefer, you've seen some guys actually closer, but this is, pretty much not in between the club situation. I mean, once you get a little too close, then you don't know whether to hit a wedge or a 9-iron. I mean, this is probably a pretty solid 9-iron or 8-iron situation for these guys, and sometimes being a little further back is more comfortable.
And yeah, as you mentioned, it can be really difficult to be in that position where you go, well, am I going to hit a 9 really hard, or am I going to hit a 7 softer, or whatever it may be?
Yeah, and you know, you got the wind and the fact that this hole, even though this is flat West Texas, this hole does come uphill, and so there's a little factor there.
So Carr will take the first swing at things for his team. Got a little bit of a on him now.
Yeah, and it looks like he almost kind of hesitated and looked back at his partner. You can see those Texas Duel flags kind of starting to flop a little bit. Might be time to change clubs. Now, here's the thing: he's either a genius or a fool in this situation because, you know, some trains of thought would say, don't change your horse in the middle of a stream because you're going to get wet.
Right.
You know, other trains of thought are, hey, you know, take your time and make the smart decision. Hopefully he's done the latter, and we can make a good result here. Definitely took an extra club there. There's no question. We pulled it to the right a little bit over here. Our right, his left. Definitely yanked it a little bit.
Got at least a little bit of a lucky bounce to come back down on the front side of that hill there, but
and it's a great camera angle there too, because what that is that's actually an area that has what is our pine straw around the trees, because as these trees mature, sometimes it's hard to get grass to grow under them. Probably those guys would get some relief there if they chose that shot. Let's hope that they can get a better second shot, but generally in this pine straw you can get a club length relief. So you don't have to hit out of it.
And it looks like he's going to go ahead and stay with that 9.
Yeah, he's stuck with his club. A little muscly, but let's see how it looks. Perfect. You know, I mean, that was, you know, especially after your partner being off under the tree, that's a pretty good mentally tough shot there.
And it lands and just sticks. Going to give them that opportunity for a birdie putt.
Got a little bit of the hump involved with that, so it's going to definitely depend on the speed as to where you're going to try to putt that, because it will move a touch, but much more desirable than being underneath the trees over here.
And very lucky, quite honestly, that the wind died down, because we saw yesterday guys land almost in that exact spot, but the wind was so strong yesterday that if it had a little bit of a backspin on it, it was going till it was stopped by somebody almost.
Well, sure, and I mean, and let's face it, when you're playing these you know, wedge shots, these degree shots, 64, 60 degree, 58 degrees, the ball is going to spin backwards. I mean, it just by design. So, you know, having it land properly and not go off the green is sometimes part of the process.
And so they don't have to have that tough discussion on what ball they're going to play. They're going to just take the one there on the green and try and put that in.
Looks like Tom's going to have to move over here into the gallery in the carts to try to find his ball. Looks like he's found it. They're going to definitely take Trey's shot over here.
Yeah, and as you had mentioned earlier, Trey deciding to go with kind of just a safer shot and just give them that opportunity to par this hole.
For sure.
And sometimes that's what it comes down to. You have to look at what you're doing, where you are, how you're playing that day, and go, you know what? Let's just go ahead and finish this out even.
Well, it looks to me like, you know, they've got a pretty good line for this. There's not just a ton of fringe for them to work with. And this is going to come down, you know, to the Cody Adams decision. Is it going to be putter or pitcher? Looks to me like Dendy's going to choose to pitch this ball, which in my mind is probably the better, because they're having to go over the hump.
Right.
You know, if you were just a straight kind of line up, like, for instance, down here at the bottom of the hole, this needs to be carried over a few of the danger zones before it lands. That's exactly what he did. That's a great shot right there. You know, he almost felt, you know, used too much touch right there, but a phenomenal shot, definitely a makeable par.
And so they have to be happy with the way that played out to put themselves, at least from that point, a parable shot.
Well, and then Tom can kind of step up. He's chosen to pitch as well. I think that's a smart move. He definitely wants to carry this ball a little further. If he can carry it just a touch further and let it release, he should be able to go straight for the hole. good shot. Really, really good shot.
Just breaks a little bit on him, but still an excellent shot there to put them even just a little bit closer for a chance at par.
And even though we've got some really great camera angles, there was, in that shot right there, had they chosen to putt, they would have had to go from right to left over to left to right and then down the hill. But instead, they took two of those options out of the play by going ahead and pitching it up and getting it released as they went down.
Yeah, definitely not an easy shot by any means, and impressive for them to be able to put it right there. Just
oh yeah, I mean they're in the cup.
So now Carr and Braden with their chance for a birdie putt. Again, not an easy putt. I mean, they got some work to do and a little bit ways to go.
No, it's a little bit of a touch situation. I mean, you know, it's definitely going to come over the edge of the hump, and it's definitely going to fall a touch. And it starts a little uphill, so it's got a little everything. Nice putt. Well done. In fact, you know, the moment that it hit his club, you could just tell that it was headed in the right direction. Right in the heart of the hole. If I'm his partner, I'm getting that ball out of the hole and washing it for him and carrying his clubs back to the car.
That's good enough to help them finish their Texas Duel championship round with a 2-under after 2 days of golf for those guys. So you can look at that replay right there. What a putt. It found a perfect line, and he had great touch on it the whole way. And as you said, really, from the point it left his club, there was no question. It looked like that was going to go in.
Yeah. Tom finishes out solid. What a great replay. Look at that, right in the heart of the hole. No chance of doing anything other than being in.
So a good day for both of these teams as DeLauder and Dindy finish up at 1-under after 2 days. Remember, both these guys went in yesterday at 2 over.
Yeah, well, they improved on their score. And we can see why Tom has that long beard, because he clearly has no hair on his head.
That's
so
right.
He's probably just he's just growing a toupee for later is what he's doing. He's going to cut that thing off and get him a wig.
Hey, it's hot out here. We're going to take a quick rest. We'll be right back with Texas Duel Championship coverage here on ConchoValleyHomepage.com.
It's hard work and sacrifice, and never even thinking twice, and it's waving at people you don't know. Cause that's how we're born and how we're raised. The Concho Valley is our place. It's cheering for the blue and the gold. Local is your neighbors, local is your friends, local is a place you've always been. Then I love the way KSAN's local every day.
Welcome to Dreamscapes, the Concho Valley's premier outdoor living design center. Choose from a variety of custom outdoor fire pits, pergolas, and other outdoor accessories to help complement your outdoor style. We sit down with you to help design your dream outdoor living space. We offer a wide variety of grills to choose from, including pellet grills, gas, charcoal, and ceramic, along with all the extra amenities to complement that new grill. Visit us today so we can get started on bringing your outdoor living space to reality. Right here at Dreamscapes, located at 3602 South Chad.
Remain informed on breaking news with the updated Concho Valley homepage app. Now containing severe weather alerts, push notifications, extended weather forecasts, and more. Download the Concho Valley homepage mobile app today. Available on iPhone, iPad, and Android.
Football, a game not so easily tackled in 5 minutes. Join sports director Jason Brich and Rachel Turnock as they go inside the game.
A close-up look at your area local high school football games.
For 30 minutes every Friday.
That's a lot of football.
Yes, it is.
You can hear me?
The whole time.
Okay. Inside the game. Fridays at 10:35 p.m. on KSAN, San Angelo's
football channel.
Sponsored by Mitchell Auto Group. It'd be cool. Stop stepping on my lines.
You want some of this, man? Man, I knew I shouldn't have gotten the extra large.
The Locker Room is back on Concho Valley homepage with high school football scores, highlights, and top stories available right from your computer. Right at your fingertips. The Locker Room. The Locker Room. Only on ConchoValleyHomepage.com. Check it out today.
Hello and welcome back here to the Texas Duel Championship on ConchoValleyHomepage.com out here at the Bentwood Country Club. We're out on the 18th hole. This is brought to you by AV Systems and Dreamscapes. I'm Cody Adams alongside Kevin Collins out here today bringing you all of the coverage.
Yeah, with good groups of guys coming in now. We got Fred Hernandez and Blake Burchard. Fred just putted, was a little bit off on his putt. This is one of those that we've seen a couple times today. It's just a speed putt. They're going to have to make the right choices, and you can see how Fred's kind of letting Blake know, kind of, hey, you know, this is kind of where I was. Maybe that's where you need to be. Blake and Fred play a lot of golf together here at Bentwood. Glad to see him out. Paired today with Alan and Antley. Scott Antley, longtime member here at the club as well. So these guys know each other. Hopefully they've had a good time and a good round. Where are they at?
Yesterday they finished up even, but today Hernandez and Burchard are 5 under for a total score, and Allen and Antley are 6 under.
Well, these guys obviously have improved, so this is a big putt for Blake. I mean, you know, this could be a game changer. Smooth stroke there. Definitely pushed it off to the right. He knew it when he hit it. Was a little aggressive. You know, and that's kind of what happens sometimes when you're trying to really get that club head through. He just pushed that right hand. You know, most people that are right-handed are right-hand dominant, you know.
Sure.
Their right hand's stronger. And so a lot of times you just kind of let that right hand take over, and that's all he did is he just lost the left hand and pushed the ball.
And we've talked a little bit today as well when you have teams like this where, you know, they were even coming into the day, paired up with each other yesterday, I believe, as well. And then you're kind of going shot for shot, back and forth. Nice putt there.
Yeah, Scott Antley was too. He says our camera's not on him, but he's like, he showed his partner 1 more inch is all you need, and you've got it.
But when you're going back and forth like this, it can be a little bit frustrating when you realize you know what you did wrong as soon as you do it.
Oh, yeah.
It ticks you off a little bit.
It does, and that's why they have beer, Cody.
That's right. That's right.
Allen stepped up here. Like I said, Scott looked at him, said 1 more inch is all you need. He stepped right up like he knew what he was doing. Oh, he was about 2.5 inches out.
So they went ahead and tapped in for a par to finish at 6 under on the day. Fred Hernandez now will have a chance to do the same.
Little routine putt for Fred. He's got his reverse grip going there.
Oh.
Story of my life. Most.
And that's
Actually, that's the story of Jeremy Bryant's life.
Yeah, that's right,
Almost.
Yeah, just Mr. Almost.
All right, Blake. Take your time, brother. This makes a big difference, and you can see he knows that. I mean, obviously these scores are very close between these guys, and he just needs to, just lacks finishing.
And he just misses it off the lip as well. Not happy, obviously, on that one.
It's time to take a deep breath. Can you afford 1 stroke? We don't know, but they're in the finished off. Unfortunately, you know, those 2 and 3 foot putts are a lot more knee knocker than the 10-footers sometimes, and coupled with the fact that the great Cody Adams was on here talking about him on TV, that probably affected the putt, Cody.
You know what?
I apologize to those guys.
I should. You're right. I'll do that next time I have to call Fred about something with electricity going on.
All right, coming up, we've got Gutierrez and Gutierrez Pitts teed off at 10:36. Both of them seem to be a little bit in the trees now. We haven't seen this particular element. Craig Gutierrez there. There is tree issues here. These guys will definitely have to take in consideration that our cameraman is taking his life into his hands at this point. So they definitely had to get it up and through there, just probably playing as safe as they can. Looks like Craig was able to kind of push that off. They're going to need to they've got some golf left, let's put it that way.
And Pitts and Dormis right now leading this third flight division. They're shooting 10 under over these last 2 days. They came in today 2 under, so they've gained 8 strokes.
Well, what's interesting is I know Dormis. I mean, he plays a lot of golf, plays a lot of the big tournaments. And, you know, when you do that on a regular basis, these guys rise on the second day. They're used to it. It's kind of part of the gig, you know.
Right.
And so I was really surprised that he shot just 2 under when I was looking at the score sheet. I know these guys have the capability of firing some pretty good scores. So, you know, hopefully they finish out and do a good job. But that's a great comeback there from being just 2 under.
And, you know, that makes sense. Yesterday, obviously we don't get to see the other 17 holes. We're just set up here on the 18th. But even yesterday, as they finished up here on the 18th, they finished with a really good hole. And I think they actually birdied yesterday to get to that 2 under spot. So you know that they can do it. We saw it yesterday as well.
Just needed stuff to fall together, and a good shot there. Our camera guy had. I mean, you could see that ball ended up in the sand trap, and it was a little thin. Probably need to just let this happen. Let the club do the work there. That's a much better shot. Looks like. Oh yeah, almost landed on the hole. Unfortunately, caught that little ridge coming down, but almost landed in the hole.
Certainly puts them in a much better position than they thought they might be in to this point, and still lets them kind of keep that lead that they have. A pretty big lead, really, here in the third flight. At this point, the scores we know here in the third flight anyway, we've got Pitts and Dormis currently in the lead at 10 under, followed by Allen and Annalee at 6 under, and then we've got a tie for third between Burchard and Hernandez, who just lost a stroke. They would have had that lead at that point, but now they're 4 under. Gutierrez, they're 4 under right now. And Gomez and Gongora, who you'll see here in just a few minutes, they're at 4 under as well in the third flight. As we get close to wrapping up third flight play, we've got just about 4 more groups here in the third flight. 58 teams playing yesterday and today in the Texas Duel Championship here at Bentwood Country Club. We're perched up here on the 18th hole watching some guys play some golf and try and win a little money and get to have a little bit of fun here on Saturday evening.
Yeah, for sure. You know, you can celebrate or you can drown your sorrows after
That's
the
right.
tournament's over.
Certainly feels a little bit better if you get to celebrate using the money that you win.
That's a fact. As Craig comes out a little, he's got some golf left there. Probably not as happy with that, but we can't see it from our camera angle, but that's some pretty tall grass they're coming out of, and that can definitely affect the club head's movement. Much better shot there, unfortunately, releasing coming off the green. You know, with that spot, we haven't seen that shot a whole lot this afternoon, but you've got a huge bunker to take care of, and then if you carry that ball even to the hole, it's going to roll off. So that's probably one of the worst places you can be for scoring purposes anyway.
Sure. And they at least put themselves in a little bit of a better position, although I'm sure they'd like to be a lot closer for a chance at par than where they are at this point. So again, Gutierrez sitting at 4 under, and Pitts and Dormis leading this third flight with a score of 10 under. Had a really good day of golf for those guys to put themselves in a pretty comfortable position here in the third flight on the 18th hole.
Well, you know, that's going to affect how they finish here. They're going to play for par here. There's no reason not to. There's no question with the way everything is, social media and text messages and stuff like that. You know that they know they're in pretty good shape. They want to avoid kind of what happened to Blake Burchard and Fred Hernandez. They don't want to lip out and give a stroke back. They want to just kind of play smart, finish solid, and not make it an event. Just make it happen.
We haven't seen a lot of guys actually chip from that close. A lot have been choosing to putt.
That was a beautiful chip shot. Probably needed another foot in the air to be able to release to the hole, but definitely a makeable putt for their par. Both of them choosing to chip here. Now, we had not as good of an angle that because he's back to us, but I mean, he picked that club up pretty straight, which means he was trying to guide it with his hands a little bit, and that's why a lot of people don't choose to chip there.
Right.
Because, you know, if you guide that ball, there's no telling what it's going to do. Craig for his par, trying to finish pretty quickly.
We've seen that spot today a few times where guys think it's going to break as it approaches, and it doesn't.
It's kind of in between the little elephant hump and the ridge going down the edge of the green. I think you leave that ball in the hole and just hit it straight, you've got a pretty good shot at it. Nice smooth stroke right there. Holy cow. The earth needs to move a tidbit. The Gutierrez brothers tap in there for their... I believe that's a bogey for
That is a bogey, but that will take them to 3 under for their tournament score. Almost saved par there with a beautiful putt. Certainly made it an easy tap in for them.
So Pitts and Dormus with a nice, pretty straight putt coming up the edge there, so shouldn't have too much trouble with that.
This is an opportunity for them to par to keep their score at 10 under as they lead this third flight to this point.
It's just straight back and straight through is all you need. Oh, pushed it. Now here's the deal about that. I mean, we had a great camera angle on that. It's kind of definitely pushed that ball directly. I mean, that was not the break. He hit it that direction. So hopefully his partner recognizes that. Got a little wind kicking up here, but you know, that was not indicative. Not indicative about what the actual break was.
And he was showing him that. You could see he was showing him kind of how his club turned on him a little bit and how he did push it. And
yeah.
You'd like to think that they're going to be able to learn from that and fix things here.
It's just straight back and straight through.
And he does.
Absolutely. Smart play. Way to step back and take a look at that, though, to make sure.
The wind really picking up now. You can hear it coming across our mics, and I'm sure as we look at Farmer, Parker, Gomez, and Gongora, they were probably hoping that those guys would hurry up on the green so they could avoid some of that rain.
Yeah.
Wind, I mean.
The wind is, I don't know if we've got a little dust devil coming through or what, but we got a little bit of an issue with some wind.
So we've got out in the fairway right now, that's Gomez and Gongora. They were 3 under coming into today. They're now at 4 under. They played some pretty good golf yesterday on the 18th hole. Another one of those teams that ended up using, I believe, a mulligan to save par, I think, actually, is what happened there. So that was a good play by them. And then Farmer and Parker, they've not had as great of a day, although still playing pretty good golf, but they came into the day 3 under. Now they're sitting at 1 under, so they've lost a couple of strokes.
Right in the center of the fairway, should be able to take a nice smooth stroke all the way through. Oh, that definitely is right shoulder, right hips coming up. That ball is moving. Well done. Holy cow. He started that thing out to the right and bent it right in.
It certainly looked like it was going to take off on him there, kind of in a direction that wouldn't be happy. And
he got some nice hips and shoulders through that to create some movement on that ball. That was kind of a pro-looking shot, kind of.
So that'll land perfectly on the green for them to put them in position for at least a shot at birdie. It'll be a little bit of work to do at that point, but still a pretty good shot. And now we move on over to Farmer and Parker, as Parker will take the first swing at things. He gets under his, and it looks like it's going to land just on the green as well. A nice shot from him out at that point, playing to the left of the fairway and playing with that orange ball that he was playing with yesterday. So fun to see that make a return, as now his partner Farmer will try and best him a little bit on this shot if he can.
Definitely had the club in the bag before the ball even bounced, so we knew he wasn't as happy with it as he could have been.
Luckily, he gets to thank his partner there, and they'll still be on the green with a chance to putt for birdie. Both these teams have a little bit of work to do if they want to do that, but they're at least in a position to put themselves in position for a good par. Here in the third flight of action on ConchoValleyHomepage.com as we cover the Texas Duel. I'm Cody Adams alongside Kevin Collins, bringing you all the action, brought to you by AV Systems and Dreamscapes.
The pace of play has been awesome today, and I think that's going to be helpful. I think the players are going to be happy about that as well. I think they're going to, it makes for an enjoyable round. Once you get to over the 5-hour round type situation, you can tend to be a tidbit frustrated. Of course, I'm saying that as I'm looking up the fairway, and I don't see anybody on the tee box. Murphy's Law is in place there. But at the same time, I think that's one thing that this format does play well for, is it does keep the pace going and, makes it more fun, which in my opinion is going to sell more golf. I mean, if it's more fun, it's going to be more golf. So kudos to the Duel guys for pulling that together.
And what we've talked about, because of the way this is just a 2-day tournament, 2-day championship, we finish up here on a Saturday.
Right.
Everyone really gets out of here by, 7:30, 8 o'clock at the very latest.
Sure.
And then you still have all of Sunday to kind of recruit before you get back to work on Monday.
Absolutely. And, and our bar is open until after 11 o'clock. So if these guys want to just stick around and hang out at the bar, I would welcome that.
And those first flight guys wrapped up a couple of hours ago, so I'm sure they've probably been keeping seats warm for folks.
Hopefully so. And, it's great. I walked through the club several times throughout the event, and it's just good to see guys just hanging out and watching the stream. We have the stream on in the clubhouse. We, guys watching it on their phones. So it was kind of cool how much people are paying attention. So it's obvious something that people are enjoying.
And we certainly wouldn't be able to do this stream without our great production staff who puts this on. Lots of guys putting in extra hours on their days off and things of that nature to make sure that we give you the best quality we can. So we certainly appreciate them coming out and putting up with the heat to do this.
For sure.
Kevin and I have the easy job. We just kind of sit here and talk. A really nice putt just by the hole there.
Yeah, just, that was just a situation where one ball out, that ball's in the hole, no question. Had it read just perfectly. Hopefully his partner went to school on that, and they'll get an opportunity to take advantage of that good first read.
So now Gongora in that bright yellow shirt, going to take a look at things and maybe shielding a little bit coming off his shirt.
Yeah, he's holding his hands over the hat there. I guess he's got some kind of special way to measure stuff off of that. Nice roll there. That's a pretty nice roll. Just not quite enough chicken on the bone, but both players read the putt pretty well. That's not an easy putt to make coming up over the elephant hump. Finish up with their par.
And so they'll finish their day at 4 under. That's their tournament score. So we've got a few guys here in that third division sitting with a 4 under now, as Farmer and Parker will take their swing at things, try and get a birdie here on the 18th hole at Bentwood Country Club.
Total speed putt right here. If it hits the hole, it's going to go in. Didn't break much, but he hit it pretty firmly. And so, a lot of times you didn't give the opportunity for the ball to take effective break.
Parker used this same colored ball yesterday, and it was kind of interesting to...
Well, you can always find it, I would assume.
I believe yesterday he was wearing all pink as well.
Kind of toned it down today. Again, that putt was just a speed putt. He kind of went past the break with it, and so now they've got a little golf left, but definitely a makeable putt coming straight back up the hill there. Pushed it. Just a little push. He read that putt correctly, but his hands came through just a touch quickly, and he pushed the ball off to the right. So his partner needs to recognize that and just take the hole, put the ball inside the hole during the read, and just leave it there. He pulled it, unfortunately. Tough finish for those guys today.
And so that'll put them at an even on their final score as we bring you coverage of the final rounds of the Texas Duel here at the Bentwood Country Club. Really nice putt just by the hole there.
Yeah, just, that was just a situation.
And that was earlier from a long putt there from, I believe it was Gomez at that point. That might have been Parker, rather. Parker almost sinking that putt, just couldn't quite get it to go, and then in turn, that ended up being a bogey for them. So
just barely past the hole.
We've been out here all day today, starting about 12:30. We got on ConchoValleyHomepage.com to bring you coverage. We've seen a playoff happen in the first flight for the win, to see who's going to win that one. So that was a lot of fun. The sixth flight, that was a winner-take-all coming into the day. That was a lot of fun for a lot of people to follow as well. So it's been a good day of golf as we wrap up our coverage here of the third flight now here at Bentwood Country Club.
Looks like Ray Montgomery and Blake Vincent, Daryl Cates and Mark Soto, both teams closely matched when one Montgomery at 5 under and Cates at 4 under. All four of these guys are Bentwood natives, spend a lot of time out here.
And Daryl Cates yesterday had a shot that was absolutely unbelievable from about the middle of the fairway, put it just a few inches from the hole. I mean, really looked like it was going to fall right in.
Well, it looks to me like, where are these guys at this point, do we know?
Vincent and Montgomery are sitting at 3 under at this point now, and Cates and Soto are now at 1 under, so both of them have had a little bit more trouble today than they did yesterday.
Well, I did see Daryl Cates in the bar for an extended time last night. We played some music up there at the club, and he hung around, and that's a little known fact. I mean, Daryl Cates, one of the better country guitar players in West Texas, doesn't play guitars anymore, but was one of the better ones. But yeah, I noticed he was still there at a reasonably late hour now. Whether he was partaking of any adult beverages or not, I would not have the wherewithal to tell you. But
right, yeah.
Hopefully that has not made some type of impact on his play today.
They got to tee off at about 10:52, so at the very least, he got a little bit of time to kind of recoup and get ready for today.
Either that or to hit the screwdrivers and Bloody Marys.
There's that possibility as well. We had a few guys stroll through here who were already rearing and going at about 11 when I got here, so that'll happen on a Saturday of golf. Certainly
doesn't make them bad people. That's
no,
for sure. Having a good time. So hopefully they can finish strong here. Looks to me like there was a couple of guys off to the right, and there's a couple short in the fairway there, so they've at least got a couple of opportunities to go for a regulation situation. But also, as our cameraman's showing us, there's a lot of driving around going on, so I guess we're on an Easter egg hunt out there.
And that, that's the way I play. I always have to carry at least 4, 5, 6 balls with me, because sometimes I'm just going to go, leave it. I'll play it again. It's fine.
I am Judge Schmelz. I was clearly interfered with at all times when I play, so I'm going to kick that ball over in the fairway at all opportunities.
A few of these last groups, we've had some spectators, family and friends rolling along with them, watching and hanging out as well, and that's kind of part of this as well. We get down to the nitty-gritty, obviously, about the winning, the money, and all that, but these guys are out having fun and playing with people that they've played with numerous times probably over the last month or so.
Sure. And we are getting down in this group. There's just looking through the cast of characters that we have, there's a lot of guys that play a lot of our events, that support a lot of golf in San Angelo and West Texas, and so I'm sure that if nothing else, there's some camaraderie going on with those guys, even if they're not having their best day. It's like Mr. Montgomery there, and Blake Vincent.
And they played a really good 18th hole yesterday as well. If I remember correctly, one of them, or maybe both of them, even used a mulligan birdie on 18th yesterday.
Well, they're definitely set up. I mean, like I said earlier in the broadcast, I mean, where they are, I would prefer to be. I mean, they're definitely in a specific club territory. They're not thinking about muscling one or the other. You get any closer than that, then touch becomes a factor. And, I mean, let's face it, if we're amateurs, that touch is not something we're so comfortable with. See what Blake does here. It looks like he's got about an 8-iron, maybe a 9. Took a pretty good cut at it there. Ball definitely got up.
That'll land just off the green, just about 1.5 yards into the fringe here on the backside.
Not a terrible shot. I mean, you know, definitely almost pin high. Definitely an opportunity. Obviously, would like to be on the green. I have played a little tournament golf with Ray Montgomery, even though I haven't played maybe once in the last 4 years. But that one time that I did play tournament golf, it was with Ray, and I will tell you will not find a more consistent, solid golfer than Ray Montgomery, and so he'd be somebody I'd want to be on the course with because he'll carry you. I'm kind of heavy. Somebody needs to carry me.
And that's always good to know that you can rely on the guy you're riding with and playing with. If you hit a shot you're not proud of, you can go, well, at least my partner's going to give me something I can play with next time around here.
Let's see what Ray has to do. We just pumped him up, made him sound like he's really cool and stuff. Kind of pushed through that a little bit. He's kind of trying to maybe keep it underneath the wind a little bit. Oh, nice ball. I mean, you know, he just kind of put a little spin on it that carried it over, but I mean, that thing landed pin high. It was right where it needed. But that's sometimes a little bit of an issue of keeping it low like he did. And if you could see his stroke, it was a little bit more, you know, compact. He was avoiding the wind, but he doesn't get the spin when you avoid the wind. So makes a big difference there. Looks like Cates and Soto are trying to punch out from the woods over there, and that's a tough spot to be.
They're kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a little bit of brush above them, right?
Yes,
There's set back behind that a little bit.
Yeah, they're going to have to punch. There's no real getting through that canopy there, so it's all a matter of trying to get a decent lie and be able to push this ball on through. Now, on the other hand, it is straight up the hill to the hole, so I mean, if he can just carry it and get it underneath the canopy, it's not terrible. Kind of cut that ball. You could see his hips, his right shoulders, and his hips came open there. Unfortunately, he's going to be hanging out with some Jimmy Buffett music over here. I think he's on the beach, so a little bit of a tough hole for these guys finishing up.
And a probably little discussion they'll have on the ride because I believe Darrell's shot didn't go quite as far as they were hoping.
Yeah,
so.
I think Darrell may have actually caught a little of the canopy. I mean, he didn't get all of that ball for sure. Now, on the other hand, I would take that shot over the sand shot personally. It just depends. Now, both Darrell and Mark play a lot of golf, and they spend a lot of time on the practice tee, so that they may make another choice on that, depending on, you know, it's like we talked about earlier. If you're in the sand, it's a confidence deal. If you feel confident hitting it, more power to you.
And it looks like that's what they're going to do as they pick up Darrell's ball and come on up to the sand to play out of the sand on this one. And from where they were, too, kind of under that canopy, under those trees a little bit, that can be really hard because you know you have to punch it, but you don't want to punch it too much because then sometimes you can really get a hold of it and send it flying.
There's nothing more dangerous than blading a ball like that because, I mean, when you lose control of it, you could literally go OB. I mean, because you're having to use a club that is way more than you would normally use to keep it low and punch it. But if you catch the blade, it's gonna carry you a long ways. Little discussion there amongst the troops. As Mr. Cates and Mr. Soto are just making their way up there, we've got Ray and Blake either lamenting or rejoicing. It looks more lamenting than rejoicing, but I'm certainly not the one to tell for sure.
Blake playing in flip-flops.
Always does. Not entirely sure that's the best option, but, you know, whatever works for you.
It's all about comfort, I guess.
Darrell nicely out of there. Needs to release. That's the key about sand shots. I mean, you're going to put some spin on the ball, and then there's a release factor. And if that ball hits into an upslope before it releases, it'll check. If it hits a downslope, then it's going to roll right up by the hole. He's not in terrible shape, but clearly would have liked it to release a little bit more than it did.
For Soto, at least that gives him an opportunity to know that he has something that they...
Right. And just so you know, in golf rules, I mean, the club cannot be grounded in the sand trap. So, and then as they're playing a scramble, they have to place the ball as much as like the other player as possible. Much better shot there. Unfortunately, again, caught the upslope, and as you can see, the ball checked up rather quickly. It's just kind of tough for these amateurs to tell, you know, how much to let it go.
And again, that's what makes this tournament as fun as it is it's, you know, it's guys that you're seeing out and about in San Angelo, guys you know. And
oh, yeah. And they're all pretty good.
Yeah,
know?
oh, for sure.
All right, Blake's coming off the fringe. This really shouldn't affect the ball too much. There's not enough fringe to bother him. Starts it up the hill. It just doesn't turn. It doesn't turn.
It did not move one bit from where the line that he set. It just kind of kept going.
And he's visiting with Ray as he walks by, and he's like, you know, I'm not entirely sure what happened right there.
So Ray Montgomery will take his look at things now and try and correct what went wrong there.
Nice roll there. What a putt.
Right
what a putt.
in.
Knew he hit it right from the beginning. Like I said from the beginning, if you're going to play one golf tournament every 5 years, you might choose Ray Montgomery as your partner because he is cool as the other side of the pillow.
And he saw Blake Vincent go right before him, saw that the ball didn't move a whole lot on him there, and said, we'll just put it right in the hole then.
You can definitely see how appreciative Blake is for playing with Ray, for sure.
So they'll finish their day at 4 under after that birdie putt.
Not a bad finish. Probably not what they wanted, but not a bad finish. Mr. Cates, good fundamentals on the putt there. A little wristy with his hands on that one, but definitely made the ball kind of curve a little bit. There is a little break there, but I would venture to say if Mark is a little more aggressive from the beginning, he'll be fine. Interesting grip there for Mark Soto. Very, very, very touch-type grip. He's got his fingers down the shaft of the putter. And he's just designed that so he doesn't overproduce with his hands. Not a bad putt there. Unfortunately, not as much break.
And so they will now putt for a bogey in hopes of staying even after 2 rounds of championship play, and they'll do just that to finish their 2 days of golf with a score of even. Golf for them as well.
Probably, all these golfers play a lot of golf, and they probably didn't have the day they wanted, but look how much fun they're having, patting each other on the back, taking their hats off, shaking hands all around. That's what it's really all about, is just trying to make, an environment where even if you're not having your best day, you're still having a good time playing with some great guys.
And we're having a good time out here. We're going to take a quick break here at the Bentwood Country Club as we bring you coverage of the Texas Duel from the 18th hole. You're watching it on the ConchoValleyHomepage.com. We'll be right back.
It's hard work and sacrifice, and never even thinking twice, and it's waving at people you don't know. Cause that's how we're born and how we're raised. The Concho Valley is our place. It's cheering for the blue and the gold. Local is your neighbors, local is your friends, local is a place you've always been. Then I love the way KSAN's local every day.
Welcome to Dreamscapes, the Concho Valley's premier outdoor living design center. Choose from a variety of custom outdoor fire pits, pergolas, and other outdoor accessories to help complement your outdoor style. We sit down with you to help design your dream outdoor living space. We offer a wide variety of grills to choose from, including pellet grills, gas, charcoal, and ceramic, along with all the extra amenities to complement that new grill. Visit us today so we can get started on bringing your outdoor living space to reality. Right here at Dreamscapes, located at 3602 South Chad.
Remain informed on breaking news with the updated Concho Valley Homepage app. Now containing severe weather alerts, push notifications, extended weather forecasts, and more. Download the Concho Valley Homepage mobile app today. Available on iPhone, iPad, and Android.
Football, a game not so easily tackled in 5 minutes. Director Jason Brich and Rachel Turnock as they go inside the game.
A close-up look at your area local high school football games.
For 30 minutes every Friday.
That's a lot of football.
Yes, it is.
You can hear me?
The whole time.
Okay. Inside the game. Fridays at 10:35 p.m. on KSAN, San Angelo's
football channel.
Sponsored by Mitchell Auto Group. It'd be cool if you guys could stop stepping on my lines.
You want some of this, man? Man, I knew I shouldn't have gotten the extra large.
The Locker Room is back on Concho Valley Homepage. With high school football scores, highlights, and top stories available right from your computer. Right at your fingertips. The Locker Room. The Locker Room. Only on ConchoValleyHomepage.com. Check it out today.